Hey, it's Ashy again. I have with me Wall again,
Hello, again,
and I have Des
again.
Hello,
again.
hello.
We're still holding Des captive. All right, so to get started, before we actually start running down this list,
Follow.
uh, are are there any companions here that probably still hold up, or are they just all getting shifted down?
Probably, okay, look, I think S and A tier, maybe B tier, are probably. Look, having a wolf or a boar or something, even on your druid, is pretty standard, so I'm fairly certain saying S, A, and B.
Okay,
Eh,
Yeah,
so we're
I'm
assuming
kind of
something
I'm
along
kind of in
this.
the same thing. They do have some niches and they do their job.
well, I
Okay.
mean, if you're on a druid and you field the giraffe with its fucking greatsword hooves, and then you start piling your buffs on it, you're just starting to double its dice and double its dice, and it's got two of them, which is
Yeah.
abnormal. So you're like your giraffe.
When
We've
you
seen what Titan boas and big constrictors can do. They're grab monsters. You can make them bigger and grab anything. Like, I think this checks out.
All right.
Or hell, turbo buffing your giant weasel, and then it blood draining things with complete impunity because it's a huge sized creature with legendary proportions or some bullshit. Or you put powerful build on it, and it's considered a gargantuan creature, and it's just blood draining the Tarrasque. It's immune to it, but you see what I mean.
Yeah, I see what you mean. When you're
So
able to
even in
blood drain massive creatures that should not reasonably be grappled. Yeah,
see, that's where you have the one giant one grapple it, and then you summon the ferret swarm to just jump in while it's being held by their big brother.
sure, why not?
that's fucked up.
That is fucked up. Land piranhas. So actually, I think we should drop the horse down to C tier because I don't think anybody with an actual druid list is taking horse.
I mean, that is fair. Like, it is probably one of the most supported animal companions, but its stats do start up holding up when you're getting outside the Cavalier and Ranger
And I
sets.
think the boar should go down to C because the boar is just an objectively worse badger, which is a fucked up thing to say.
Yeah, that's fair.
Now the gecko is still gecko with small creature shenanigans, like if your druid is a gnome, the halfling, or whatever. So that's still got all the weird shit it can do with its universal spider climb.
Its unique niche does kind of really help it out. It's got substandard stats, but it's the only thing that can do what it does.
Yeah. I think that looks fine.
All right,
Because everything in S and T is just abnormal, what the fuck. It's got something that no one else is doing.
that's
Because
true.
we had that whole conversation about getting the what was it, the black scarab mask and summoning like a giant mosquito companion for its blood drain specifically.
Yeah,
Wow, the giant weasel just means you don't have to jump through a bunch of fucking hoops. It just has
that
blood drain.
is true. It just has blood drain, which is it's still just such a silly thing for it to have. All right.
So yeah.
So with that bit done, so when it comes to like the stat arrays, these creatures, natural armor average is still running around 2. The advanced only goes up to like like a 3 as average, which kind of surprised me. Strength average is about 13. The range is slightly shorter on like the standard side, but once you get advanced, you jump up to like all the way to 17. So we don't have to pretend anything below 17 is any good.
Mm.
And their high range is like 24 with a whole lot of 22s. Dex average actually dropped from 15 to 14, and the advanced average dropped all the way from 15 to 13.
Well, when you get to large slash huge on those weird outliers that you might reach that, yeah, just size modifiers, especially for just base creatures, just tanks dex down to nothing.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
it's like
true.
when we fight, I don't know, Ma or anything else that's super gargantuan, and it's like, what's its AC? Actually, surprisingly shit
I mean, yeah,
because
that's
the
Well,
size just
touch.
drags. Well, touch
AC way
because
down.
size just
Yeah.
drags their dexterity down to nothing. And there's no way you're getting around that. If you
I
want
mean,
super
just
big Giga Companion, it's not going to be the most fucking graceful thing you've ever seen.
True.
I mean, looking at Mar, like just the stats that they have up on Archive of Nethys, is second lowest stat is a 28. Lowest stat is a 13 in dexterity.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
The mountain has not very
And
dexterous.
that's actually still, I mean, that's still pretty agile when you go by the fact that it's a fucking mountain.
Yeah.
I suppose. But you know what my point is. The bigger it gets, the less dex it's going to have, and you have got to go into it expecting that.
Yeah. And Constitution average, we're looking at a 13. The advanced average was 16. That's pretty good for an advanced average, I think. Getting into the actual companions, though, we can start off strong with Ape.
S tier.
You're already saying S tier. We haven't even talked about it. All right.
Opposable
It has
thumbs.
thumbs! It has thumbs!
Okay. But let's talk about it a little bit. We'll put an S
Okay.
tier, and then I'll ask you how you feel about it when we get down to the Ds. So,
Okay.
you start off medium, you go up to large. This is fine, this is good. Speed 30 feet, climb 30 feet. This is fine, this is good. It's as fast as you, so it's not slowing you down, it's not slowing the power rate down. It's got a good climb speed. Its AC starts off kind of sub-average, but reaches the average. It's got 3 attacks that start off at D4s, they become D6s. Its strength starts on the low side at 13, which is the average, sadly. Dexterity starts at 17 and drops. That's fine as a strength-based creature later on. Constitution's kind of low at 10. It goes to 14. A little bit on the squishy side. Generally fine.
Right. But
21 strength.
then we come. But then we come into the big but when it comes to the ape. Because the ape has got all the magic item slots a player does, including the ability to wield.
Yes, it does.
So, yes, it's kind of got player stats on what? 25 point buy?
Roughly.
Yeah,
Like,
it's got
when
about
it
25
advances.
point buy of stats. It's clearly strength based. Its dex doesn't actually drop to shit. It's a 15.
It drops,
So,
like, well, it's still above average for animal companions in this tier, so
well, I'm
Yeah.
comparing it to a player right now.
that's true. Fair.
So, comparing it to a player, it's about 25 point buy, strength focused. It can wear your full plate, it can wear a shield, it can wield a gun, it can grasp. So, effectively, anything you could sort of build a cohort into, as long as you get this thing's intelligence up to 3, you can build your ape like a cohort and start stacking the druid animal companion bonuses on top of it. You put the strength dex belt on, or strength dex com belt. You can give it your headband and bring it up almost to average human intelligence.
This is true.
But most importantly, you can give it a gun. A big one. Now, this is a conversation we've had. I think apes, gorillas, should have powerful build. Because if you look at nature and look how strong a gorilla is pound for pound compared to a human, they're definitely on par with a Goliath. Have you seen their arms with their tiny little stub legs and their giant arms and chest? I think they should have powerful build. I think they should be able to wield and carry as though they were a size category bigger than listed. That's what I think a gorilla should have. And I
mean,
would always
I
say,
believe.
go on.
I was gonna say, I believe in Pathfinder, powerful build became a lot less common because I don't see it on very many things.
It's absolutely not on anything
I'm pretty
at
sure
all.
it's
But-
only on the Goliath. It's only on the Half Giant / Goliath reprint from 3.5, which did have it natively,
And that's a
Yeah.
third-party edition.
and it's technically third party. So powerful build, I think, was generally ripped out of anything that you could get, except from Animal Companion. Wait, no, there's Animal Companion. There's powerful build for Animal Companion, the feat that makes them count as a size category larger. I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
you can just swing
it's a
that as
feat.
being powerful build.
I mean,
Well, now it's a
eventually, yeah.
feat, so basically anything can take it.
Anyway, S tier. It has
I'll
all
see how
the
you
it has
feel
all the
about
item
that
slots.
in just a little bit.
I was gonna say, I mean, just having all the item slots is absolutely a powerful thing just on its own.
It is pretty good. It is one of the only animal companions that can actually wear a robe, which isn't a very powerful thing on its own. But you give it an otherworldly kimono, now your gorilla has a once per day maze.
No, this is where you slap it with like 5 wishes of intelligence and then a headband of intelligence, and you teach it magic.
Don't teach the gorilla to cast spells.
All these memes by Punky
Awaken!
Doodles about the wizard and fireball, and it's just
Awaken
actually the
gorilla.
gorilla.
Don't you mean the muscle wizard?
God, it's just we're just making Winston now.
Alright, Aurochs. Aurochs. So,
Fine.
Aurochs. They are they're not exactly pack animals, but they're basically pack animals. They don't get the pack animal trait as an animal companion, unfortunately, but hardly matters. Speed 40, so slightly faster than the humanoid. It's not bad. AC sub-average, becomes over-average later, which is good. Gore attack starts at a d6, becomes a d8, so you can turn that into a 2d6 with a feat. Strength starts at 14, so it's slightly above average baseline, which I'd argue is good because it's between a +1 and a +2.
Mm-hmm.
Dexterity is below average, but it doesn't care about dexterity, it's strength based. Constitution is not amazing, but it gets a nice boost that brings it up to average. Oh, it also has trample and it has a stampede rule. Stampede rule will probably never come into play though, unless you happen to have like 2 or 3 orcs by some means.
You can summon them. They're a fairly low level summon. You could
I mean, that's true.
you could summon it a herd.
If you summon it a herd, then stampede comes into play.
I think one of the big things to note about the animal companions that you've got to go back to Druid, where they do start getting ramping bonuses to strength and their constitution and their their physical stats. You do get those as you progress anyway, so you are applying more flat bonuses to this outside of ASIs.
It's also probably relevant to mention that 14 becomes a 22, which is pretty good.
And it becomes a 22 strength, yeah.
Like, that strength score is really good.
Well, an Auroch is basically is basically megafauna anyway. An Auroch were truly massive creatures in nature.
Yeah, Pathfinder treats them like a cow.
I know,
For some reason.
but an Auroch was a ridiculously large bovine.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I just knew that Pathfinder treats them like they're a cow. Which is, yeah, I guess maybe it should have gone to the megafauna listing. Regardless, that's fine.
I mean, let's have a look.
But where would we tier this?
Let's have a look here. So,
Alright.
here's this. I will throw this size There's a size comparison chart here. They were effectively twice the size of a regular cow. The
That's a lot
males
of
were
beef.
anyway. Yeah, they're fucking big.
I mean, I think it still falls into the same size category though, generally.
I mean, it's large.
Just
It's
looking
like
at
the
that.
size of a horse.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
here's the thing though. When you get the particularly big horses, like the big draft horses, like we use for in the coal mining industry, when you get to the a horse is a large creature,
Yeah.
and then you double it. That's either on the very low end of huge, or the very tippy toe end of large. So you're sort of on that borderline point.
yeah.
That is true.
I mean, it's like how an orc is a medium creature, but can absolutely tow the if you gained 2 more inches, you would be a large.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
So that's absolutely what we're looking at here, and it's. I know why Pathfinder has done the whole do the conservative option of going lower for balance reasons for players. Because if they went through, they take their animals like your aurochs, your bigger variations, or fucking even polar bears, or hell, the dire polar bear, which we're going to look at in a minute. You would just be throwing huge creatures out, basically out of the gates at players. As like, here, take this huge creature, and you can definitely see how that's going to fuck up balance and fuck up adventuring because which dungeon's that fitting in?
Ah, Mammoth Red.
Let's be fair though. If they started it as a large, then its increase would probably be at 4th level and just be a minor increase.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
that's what they tend to do when they don't want to make something bigger. They just give it a shitty 4th level advancement instead.
True. I don't know. My entire point is a lot of our metrics are derived from what we know about these creatures in real life and how they don't tie up in this. And you've got to apply some gamified logic to it. Where would it actually be a hindrance if it was true to nature?
Yes,
Not talking
absolutely.
about the not talking about the kangaroo, but shit like this.
Yeah, yeah.
And
A
again, fitting a
huge-sized
huge creature
creature
in a
is a
dungeon is
hindrance.
yeah. As much as it's a great meme to just rock around with, well, a gargantuan random object animal, which is doable, but you probably
Stupid
don't
group.
want it there all the time.
Hmm.
Stupid group synergy idea. Everybody takes nature's soul. Everybody grabs an auroch. That way we can have the 3 or more. Every combat starts with a stampede.
I mean,
Love it.
it's not a bad opening.
I mean, this is where I just point back to the ape we've just been through and go, hey, put Juggernaut pauldrons on it. Make it huge.
Got a bunch of apes walking in trench coats and with Tommy guns.
Rattle 'em, boys!
Part of me is
Clearly the druid
horrified.
has to be a Varnya or whatever it is, the monkey character race that you can play.
He's gonna have an Italian accent.
There we go.
Italian mob boss monkey man with his gorilla enforcers.
You gotta have a chimpanzee to be just the small guy.
Yeah, but he's the rogue. He's the sneaky, dexterous one. But he will also eat your
Exactly.
face because Chips is psychotic.
How did we get to Monkey Mafia?
I don't know,
Because
but I'm here for it. Like, yeah, I'm here. It's good.
Alright.
but yeah,
Aurochs.
Auroch.
B tier, A tier, C tier.
I
I
think
don't think
it's
it's a mix
all
of
right.
this.
So I'm not. It's not that impressive, but you can do things with that strength score if you just want a. It's now going to hit you really hard with power attack. So I'd say this is a B tier just because it's got abnormally high strength. And if you just want a beat stick to just go beat stick, it will beat stick.
It can be a beat stick.
Yeah,
Versus C tier it's all right. So I'd say this is.
yeah, that D8 gore plus that strength score.
It does have a
I
respectable
mean,
strength score.
let's be fair. It's gonna be improved natural weapon. It's probably gonna be boosted,
You're
like
going
with
with that
Iron Jaw,
2d6.
Strong Jaw or something.
2d6 jumping up to like, oh. Were we going with a strong jaw up to like 4d6?
It's two size categories, so
Yeah, 4d6.
yeah. Yeah. I think it's a B tier just because a druid is perfectly capable of going, you smash that idiot. And it
True.
will smash that idiot.
It will be good at smashing that idiot. So
Smash
the
that
Because
idiot, and the idiot
because
was smashed.
we do have to look at these in the context of what they're attached to. These are still a class feature.
yeah,
And rather than your cavalier or your ranger, you're tied to a druid or a hunter with the druid and hunter. Well, not so
support.
much druid. Yeah, you've got the good support.
Right.
And yeah,
So next up we have the Bacalia, which is basically an extra shiny alpaca.
oh, it's the shiny okay, it's a shiny alpaca.
It's shiny
Didn't we see
alpaca.
one of the? Didn't we see one of these in Final Fantasy?
Probably.
Actually, now that you mention it, I think we did. I think at some point.
Yeah,
and I hate it.
with the Pepelu people or Pepulu, Pelupu.
The
I don't
Pelu
fucking remember what they're called. Pello, those guys. Yeah, fucking
Yes.
Zoral Jar and his two massive dicks. Go get the golden one.
Allow me to handle this one. Subpar stats, a terrible 4th level advancement, and all it has is shiny wool. Must cheer out of 10.
You know, I agree with that that assessment. It has poor stats. It has a poor advancement. It gets nibble moves for free. It has pristine wool and gains a dazzling aura. But dazzle is a very weak condition to apply if it sticks, because it's a charisma scaling DC.
I mean, this thing's got a pretty nice charisma, to be fair.
At 13,
I'm-
it's impressive for an animal companion.
I'm just sat here and thinking this is actually this has got to be a mythological or a creature of myth. The thing that the Pelu Pelu head was based off. This has got to just be a thing in Nepalese culture, and so
Well-
if you see these, it will be the special. It'll be the special alpaca that a group of people, your adventurers, have met and go, yes, we produce the best alpaca wool for clothing in the land, and someone stole our shiny alpaca. Go get it. This is a fucking quest objective, not an animal companion.
Yeah, and it commits the cardinal sin of having 2 secondary natural attacks as its only means of attacking.
I mean,
And
it is
not
an
even
alpaca.
strong ones.
Like
This
it's
should have
got-
Oh, it has spit. This
It
is
does
true,
have
does have
spit.
spit, though.
It has a spit rule, but that leads back to the actual creature. And unlike the camel that doesn't offer a DC, that spit does have a DC.
Oh.
I mean, we put Campbell in A tier. I'm willing to put this one down in B, maybe C, because shiny wool, it is a quest item.
I was going to put it in F tier because it's a quest item. It
I
goes in
think
your
it's-
inventory.
I think it's
Yeah, but it's
absolutely
not-
F tier. The camel can at least
I
defend
mean, I'm not-
itself.
Yeah, but it didn't piss me off. D?
D then.
D.
D.
Okay.
D.
All right, fine. We're not mad about it. D.
Your shiny wool saves you from F tier for now.
Congratulations.
Alright. The dire bat. Okay, so I kind of like dire bats, so I'll try not to be biased.
Okay,
It's
well,
slow on
off the
land, but
bat,
it's a flyer.
Gee, the vampire fan likes dire bats.
well, okay. It's got a fly speed. It becomes large. It becomes rideable for normal human-sized things.
Yes.
It has blind sense.
It has blind sense. Its bite becomes
It's-
a D8.
Its strength ain't bad once it levels up. Its dex ain't bad once it sizes up. Its
Until-
constitution's a bit. Meh.
Until 6th level, it's a struggle for it to survive or do damage. Once it hits 7th level, it turns on, and suddenly it's a little bit durable, not very durable still. And it has a reasonable strength score that you can use. It reaches the
It's a-
average strength.
It's a large flyer with good maneuverability.
And a potentially damaging bite attack, since you can bring that up to 2d6 with the feet. It's rideable.
Yeah, large and fly and rideable is a fairly difficult combination to get because there aren't that many. Most of your flyers tend to be for your gnomes and shit, outside of dinosaurs.
Yeah.
So
I'm
I'd say we
willing to
put
say,
this in B.
yeah, I was thinking B as well,
I can live
because
with B. I think I like B.
I think
yeah,
we
for
do B.
bat.
it's not bad, but like it's
It's-
lacking the punch for A or S.
We've kind of got that metric again. It's like we're talking about a rideable flyer for a regular sized human, and then we're going to get to dinosaurs and goes like, the Quetzalcoatl lives here with its expanded crit
Yeah.
death beak,
Yeah.
and so everything is going to get dropped down an entire tier again. So we might need something below F.
Those don't exist for at least another video though. So
I know. I'm just
Yeah.
in context of we're talking about. It's large. It's a flyer. It's got this. It's got that. All this is going to be ruined next video, but for now, it's B.
Absolutely.
personally feel its best thing is just the fact that it does have blind sense. So if you are using it as a like partner in combat, it can get around a few things that might mess you up.
It has the potential to sense things, not precisely sense things because it's blind sense and not blind sight, but it can sense things that you won't notice.
You know? Why isn't that echolocation?
I think that's what blind sense is just supposed to be.
No.
It's echolocation, but
No, I think there's a universal monster rule called echolocation.
There is a monster called the echolocation. I don't know why.
Echolocation, what does it do? Pathfinder.
dire bats
That's
are
a,
just too
that's
big.
a spell. Echolocation. Apparently, echolocation is actually a spell.
Oh.
Oh, it gives
That's
you
weird.
blind sight.
Yeah, because
Okay, so echolocation is blind sight. Why does this have blind sense?
Probably
I-
balancing.
I mean
in
they
all
did it to a
honesty.
common bat too.
Oof. Rude.
But they have echolocation. That sense is not right. It's making me
Yeah.
mad. It's making me mad. Don't make me put
Uh-oh.
you in F, Diabat.
It's not the dire bat's fault.
No,
It's the
Paizo's fault.
dire bat's fault that the Paizo writers are the
Okay,
Paizo
so
writers.
you say it's balancing. It's a balancing factor. But okay, so you've got this bat. And let's say it gets bumped up to blind sights, which it should be as far as...
Reasonably.
What's it going to do to act on those?
Pinpoint enemy creatures for you.
Druids suddenly
allowing you to
constantly
attack
all
things that you
taking
can't
dire
see.
bat's form.
That's true.
Maybe.
That's actually true.
Okay, maybe.
Also, vampires that can turn into a dire bat, so giving a vampire access to blind sight might be uncomfortable for most people.
It's a vampire. Who fucking cares? Just kill it.
Yes, sir.
Well, and just
So
druid suddenly taking bat and dire bat form just for the free blind sight.
Yeah.
Meh.
Being able to pinpoint houses you shouldn't be able to pinpoint does ruin some CR. It does ruin some creatures and their entire shtick and mechanics.
I mean, there's always answers and silver bullets you can access.
True. But blind sight is not one that you can access easily.
True, but Druids do have the spell echolocation, which gives them fucking blind sight.
Yeah, eventually. When do they get it?
I don't know. I didn't look.
Important detail. Regardless, the bear. You like bears, right?
4th level. Actually, most casters can cast this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 4th
Anyway.
level is still like a 7th level cast for. It's still a cast that you get it like by 7th level, which yeah.
Sure, but
Still
but you
relatively
also
early.
need to boost up your beast form thing to be able to access it anyway. So it might only kick in around that level anyway.
Yeah. So, the bear starts small.
I do like
becomes
bears.
medium. Speed is 40, so it's faster than you, and that's good. It doesn't get up to the like average natural armor when it advances, but depending on how much you care about natural armor, that's not a big deal. It has the 3 attacks: bite, claw, claw. They scale to D6 and D4s, starting from D4s and D3s. Strength starts actually pretty good at 15 for an animal companion. 15 dex, which is good. Constitution's 13, so it's slightly squishy. Strength goes up to 19.
Shouldn't
It's a
bears
4th level
have grab
advancement.
attacks?
They did not give the bear companion grab attacks.
Oh, that's on the grizzly.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was considering bear being like an A or a B, but then I saw the grizzly bear next, and this motherfucker's going in C.
Yeah, because
I
grizzly
think
bear
so.
is just an objectively better bear.
Yep.
I can agree with that sentiment. So the grizzly
So really,
bear,
what we actually stop doing is talking about bear and go to grizzly, which is the actual one you'll be considering.
Yeah.
it's less so natural armor, but it gets more than the average. You go from medium to large. You have a base of 17 strength, which is really good. Dexterity is 13, but you don't care. Constitution's 13, but it gets a +4 later. So it goes up to 17, so that's 1 point above average, which is negligible, but at least it's the average, so it's reasonably tanky. Strength goes up to 21, so it's got reasonable strength. The bite and claws start a step higher than the normal bear at D6 and D4s, which means that it gets up to D8.
And it's got grab.
And D6s, and the claws do grab.
Yeah.
Which means it can be a grapple monster, which is good. A tier?
Yeah. Grizzly. What?
Yeah.
A tier? Yeah.
Superior bear out of 10.
Yeah. Just...
Like it does. It might. It doesn't have constrict. It might be on par with not Titanoboa, but it might be on par with the snake for grapple shenanigans. Realistically.
Sure. I mean, here's the thing: if you've got a big old grizzly bear with grab, you're not taking it for constrict.
Yeah.
You're taking it for the ability to maul the hell out of something.
Yeah. The grab is kind of a nice bonus on it, whereas grab's the entire point of the snake.
Yeah.
Though you could still hook up a grizzly bear with some armor spikes and whatnot to do some funky stuff.
Yeah. And then your druid buffs.
They're good.
That being said, the
Druid's
having
a
grab out of the thing is nice, but also Druids do get access to Lockjaw, which just gives anything you want grab.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
But this thing's stat block stands up. I'd say this is an A tier. I like bears. Bears are good.
Easy A tier.
Oh yeah.
All right,
Black Wisp
so next
Egret.
we have a bird.
Isn't an egret another swan/goose type thing?
Kind of. Like,
Egret. Oh, it's a. No, it's not
like
a swan. It's a fucking thingy. It's a crane.
it's
It's a
it's like
crane.
the picture that I found of it. It's doing like little wing thing where it's making a tent, sort of. It's probably to make itself look larger and intimidating or whatever.
Oh, no. What they do is they make a wing tent like that over water to produce shade, and fish swim into it, and then they just
Oh,
land slip
okay.
in their beak.
That's
It's
cute.
it's a fish lure.
That's cute. So it's got the
Yeah.
worst fly speed of any bird we've seen. It starts at small and becomes medium. Natural armor starts at 1, doesn't get better, so it's got below average natural armor. The attack is 1 that's a bite. It's a d4, scales it to a d6, so it's not a very threatening bite. Its strength starts at 8 and caps out at 12, before animal companion adjustments. But a base of 12 still isn't very great, especially not anymore. And Dex goes from 17 to 15, so that's not great. Constitution starts at 8 and goes to 10, so that's pretty bad. It has a cute little
Yeah.
special ability. In areas of dim light or darkness, range attacks against it just suffer 20% mischance. Generally speaking, dim light will impose a 20% mischance unless something has dark vision. So I guess guaranteeing that is nice. It also means that it's pretty much impossible to sneak attack with ranged attacks, which, realistically speaking, it should be flying outside that 30-foot range most of the time anyways. Then again, it might have a hard time doing that with a 30-foot fly speed.
Now, here's the real question. In darkness, because darkness would normally impose a 50% mischance, would the glowing eyes actually nerf that and make it only a 20 because you are shooting in its general area?
I don't know. I would hope not, but
Could its
very
defensive
possibly.
quality actually screw it?
I mean, most creatures have dark vision, realistically, so most
Looks
creatures
at
might
our
not
entire
care.
party that had one person that had dark vision when we needed it.
I
said
like
most
humans,
creatures.
shut up.
I said most creatures. I didn't say party members.
I mean, most creatures aren't using ranged attacks, but okay.
I mean,
Look, there is
that said,
a
I don't think
creature here. Well, first thing, this suffers from problem of being bird.
it suffers from problem of being bird.
Can we
It
also
suffers
just
from
laugh at
bird.
its poor fly speed?
Yeah.
It's not even good at bird.
It's a bird that spends most of its time wading through shallow water using its beak like a rapier. It's a spear gun bird, and this could have been so much better with how it functions because it is literally the rapier user of birds, and they've not done anything with it.
This is true.
This could be such a funny thing that does some precision damage or sneak attack damage because that's how they work. That is how they biologically do. But no, it suffers from being a bird, so it goes in D for bird.
All the birds have been migrated down to F tier.
F for bird.
F for bird.
Okay, maybe the
'Cause this is
harpy
worse
eagle's
than
got
most.
something in it.
I don't want to burst that bubble,
Nope.
but I'm gonna burst that
Oh
bubble real
god.
quick. 80-foot fly
Harpy
speed.
is the
I don't-
biggest, one of the biggest birds on the planet.
I know they have it limited to small, and it never gets bigger. I am also mad at it. I think we should put it in F tier
F
before
tier.
even going through it
F
further.
tier, we don't even need to go
But-
over it.
Okay, 3 natural attacks. Cool, great. It doesn't have the strength to really use it. It's got it doesn't really have the con to survive. It doesn't have the dex to dodge. It doesn't have natural armor. It has +2 on saves versus diseases, like it's a fucking vulture.
Oh.
F tier is eating pretty well right now.
FT is looking very bird.
Okay, so here's a bird, but this bird might actually make you smile a little bit and not be F tier.
Okay.
So
Unlike
okay.
the magical beast of the same name, this owl is mundane but unusually large, so it's a dire owl.
It's a dire owl, essentially. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. It starts at
Okay.
medium.
So it starts at medium, goes up to large. AC starts at a +2, goes up to a +4, so it's got above average natural armor. That's a nice thing to have. 60-foot fly speed. I mean, it flies. You can't be mad at that. Two
Sure.
talents. The 2 talents are the only natural attack it gets, but that's probably okay. They start at D4 and go up to D6. Strength starts low, but it gets that +8 adjustment to an 18, so it gets a reasonable strength. Dex starts at 17, goes on to 15. That's reasonable. Starts at 13, gets the +4, it goes up to average Constitution. So that's all well and good. It gets Rend. So if both talents hit, it deals 1d6 plus 1.5 times strength modifier, because that is how Rend works. So it's got 2 natural attacks, but it kind of has 2.5, with the 0.5 being more damaging, if it but manages to land the first 2. And it also gets a +4 to stealth bonus. And
Okay, so it's a large, high-strength bird. So it has the carry capacity to carry a fully armored rider.
Yeah.
His carry capacity is monumental.
Mm-hmm.
I think this actually goes in B for bird for the first time ever. Not B for bat, that's different.
Turns out the giant owl is the first bird to save Graces.
I like that fucking picture of someone just hugging a giant owl.
I mean, it seemed appropriate.
I mean, yeah, that's a big fucking owl.
It is a big
Why
fucking
owl? Why owl? Like, what about
Why
giant
giraffe?
falcon, giant hawk, giant? Why?
I mean, owls are kind of cool, but I do think the harpy should have gotten a little bit more respect than what they gave it. That was some bullshit.
Yeah. Anyway, well, let's stop talking about this bird and go to boar. Bristle boar.
The bristle boar.
The pointy boar.
Okay. Starts small, it gets medium. Has a +6 natural armor, so that's already above average. It doesn't get any more, so it's on par with the other boar as far as defenses go. Starts at 15 strength, 10 dex, who cares, it's strength based. Con 15, it's reasonably tanky. Starts at D6, goes up to a D8 gore, so it can be improved natural attack to 2D6. Strength goes up to 19. Dex goes down to 8. Constitution goes up to 17, so average Constitution, above average strength. It has spines, which is a strength scaling DC reflex save that deals a D4 points of piercing damage. So that's a nice, cute bonus. Probably not really anything to spend too much time on. It's an okay stat stick. It's not quite as good at maybe doing the stat stick thing as the Aurochs with a much better strength and whatnot, but it might make B or C.
What I see with this is that you're going to try and boost its size up as a druid. You're going to start doing things with its size. Because by that point, you're scaling its spikes damage. So, if you're scaling its spike damage, say it goes D4, D6, D8, maybe 2d6 if you're really heavy into it. So let's say it's got 2d6 spines because you've done some shenanigans with its size categories. And then a monk hits it, or a dragon gedans it.
It would
it's kind of getting...
It is apart, hypothetically, yeah.
So, it's kind of doing that thing that happened in Shim's campaign where my monk went and fucking flurry of blowed the alchemist, but the alchemist had, like, thorn body up.
So...
And it just became mutually assured fucking destruction. They both died from that.
These spines don't actually work like Quill, though. If you read how it functions, they trigger on an attack. The boar's attack. So if the boar hits something, then the spines happen. And because it's an ability, not a natural attack, it might not be allowed to scale up like that. But if it does, that could make it potentially nasty. And actually worth consideration.
Okay, it has dangerous spines that do D4 damage. If that's bigger, the spikes are bigger. You get big enough, it's covered in spears. Like, surely that should scale.
And makes sense. I agree that it should.
Okay.
But by rule, that doesn't necessarily mean that it inherently scales because it's an ability and not a natural attack.
So, what I think this is actually just D tier. If your DM then allows you to do spine shenanigans, it'll be a B tier. Because then you can sort of amplify its kind of shitty stats and shitty damage with some really big additional numbers.
So I think it's C tier because its stats aren't
Okay, fine.
that shitty, but B tier if it's
Fine.
allowed to actually scale.
Fine.
Do you have an opinion, Des?
No, that sounds about right. Like C tier, but if you can scale it. I'm still looking at that reflex save because I imagine it doesn't matter how much you scale it, the reflex save is not gonna get that much higher,
It's
and
a string
eventually you
scaling
hit the
reflex save though, so it scales with the board strength. The stronger the board gets, the higher the save goes. And animal
Okay,
companions
Which-
are natively scaling their strength with their class feature.
And size usually gives more strength.
Yeah.
So I think the DC on it won't be too bad. You might not be
think
stabbing a rogue with it.
it probably
mean-
won't stab a rogue. It's a reflex
I was
save.
just looking at the fact that even things with terrible reflex saves were still pretty comfortably hitting like stopping a lot of our reflex save spells even come end game of our campaign.
Okay, so in endgame, I've had this complaint many times where monsters' saves just sort of outstrip and outscale whatever you're doing. Pathfinder Second Edition made that situation worse by adding hit dice to their saves as an inherent. So
Yeah, so all their saves look like that, not just their weak ones.
yeah, but even in
Yeah.
even Pathfinder First Edition, at the top end of whatever you're doing, they tend to have exceptionally high saves
Yeah.
regardless.
I mean, they have
Yeah.
to because their hit point scaling isn't always that great. In order to survive player aggression, they have to have good saves. All right, so next up we have the big kitty cat. I used a lion here, but tigers and such also would work. So
Okay,
Grab, pounce, rake,
A
like
tier.
A tier minimum.
okay, so we had the holy trinity of grab, pounce, and rake. We got bites and claws. By the way, because it doesn't specify where the grab goes, hypothetically it can be applied to all three because grab is normally applied to bites and claws. Alright, so base 13 gets a +8, so it goes with 21. It's not too squishy. Dexterity doesn't matter too much for it. It's got good attack scalings. You could make that a 2d6 bite if you wanted to. Yeah, I'm with you, Abe.
The thing is, big cats are sort of the gold standard of animal companion.
Yeah.
Like, they are actually the big, you probably just want this, because any of the other standard regular mammal animal companions, a big cat will do everything they do, and probably a bit better.
Yeah, possibly.
I'm gonna call it. If we're letting Wolf sit pretty up there in S tier because of its trip shenanigans, then I feel Grab, Pounce, Rake should absolutely qualify either Lion to go, well, Big Cat to go up, or Wolf to come down to this level.
I say we swap them. Because they're not remotely on the same fucking category. They're not even on the same plane.
Yeah, like as nice as trip shenanigans can be, Grab, Pounce, Rake, like Pounce is such a good ability that players are constantly fighting to find a way to get it on their characters if they're a marshal.
You're right. It's why
I mean,
barbarians can do it with some totem shenanigans, I think, and it's like, once again, it's the gold standard of I charge, but I
so
also full attack.
I won't argue with it, but I do think you're disrespecting the wolf a little bit there.
Yeah, I was willing to bring Wolf down to the cat level or bring cat up. Wah was the one suggesting
Yeah.
like swap.
I think wolf is being
Here's
disrespected in this arrangement a little bit.
I don't, because we've done a bit of a power shuffle, and the only reason the ape and the giraffe are up there is because they're just the memes. They've got meme potential, especially the ape. Titanoboa has like got the grab, constrict, armor spike things that most of the things don't get. That gets S because it does one thing better than anybody else.
Until we get to the next video.
Yes.
We don't talk about the next video.
But considering that trip isn't necessarily a chase thing, it's something that you can generally get good at through feats. Pounce grab rake is
I
absolutely
think-
something that you chase.
So, I think trip is chaseable, especially because it's an innate. You could get better at it, and you could make that very good. And it's a very great setup option for all of the marshals in the party.
So you think that should go up to S tier as well because of because of not its rule chase
Well,
abilities, but because of its enabling?
yes, actually. Because, like, I will not compare the wolf's damage to the big cat's. The big cat will do more damage. Easy. The wolf only has one bite.
Actually,
But the wolf
actually,
tripping something puts on the ground, making it easier for all of the marshals to hit. And if that thing stands up, it is now provoking the elbow from all those marshals and the wolf that are up next to it.
all right. You know what? We can put him back in S because Axbeak is also an A tier who gets a trip specifically on charge. If he's here and the wolf does it better, okay,
Like, if wolf is
fine.
down in A tier, Axbeak would get knocked down to B tier reasonably. Probably.
Oh no, the Plinko chips are falling.
I mean, that is kind of how that worked, isn't it?
I mean, I
Yep.
definitely did suggest we split these into completely independent tier lists based on what the class getting them was to avoid this, but now we're fucking here now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cattle! Oh dear, you're a worse Auroch.
I mean, is it though?
I don't know, is it?
So orcs don't have don't have powerful charge. First of all.
Oh,
So,
okay.
the cattle starts at medium, goes to large. 40 foot, has the same AC scaling as the orcs, the same gore scaling. It doesn't have stampede, but it has powerful charge, which means it's adding additional damage to its charge.
Alright. It's more
It also
I
has
universal.
feel this
trample
is very
still.
deceptive, though. See, they're calling it cattle, and they're comparing a bull to a cow. And as someone who has grown up on a farm, trust me, one of those you are a lot more afraid of if it's angry at you.
Oh, that's
So
definitely true. Don't
I lived in
underestimate the
Spain for a
cow.
few years. And I've been to a running of the Bulls festival.
Yeah.
Yes, the average bull is kind of fucking horrifying.
Let's also not. Let's also pay attention to the fact that it gets a +8, so it actually matches the Auroch's bullshittery, 1-for-1 on strength and constitution,
Okay,
but
look,
charges
I
harder.
think I think we're in a situation here where the Auroch got done dirty because it is literally twice the size of a bull. It should be a huge creature.
I won't argue that. That's
So
fair.
I guess B tier.
I feel like
Maybe
it's
A.
as
Is it
I
A?
think I think it's as good as the Auroch. I think there are things
With a
that do the cattle's job a little bit better, but they'll show up probably later. And
my
they
only
might,
consideration is that powerful charge is more universal than Stampede.
yeah, because powerful charge. If it charges, it's proccing powerful charge.
Yeah. Where are we putting this? Probably on tier with the Auroch. Well, it's got a better
It's
ability, but it's
it's
enough to make it A tier with blood drain and shit. I think it's still B tier.
I
No,
think it's
you
B
know
tier
what?
and better than
I
Auroch.
think it's B tier, but the Auroch might get.
Drop to C.
Oh wait, we didn't even put the Auroch there. Yeah.
I
Yeah, we
don't
did.
think the
Let's
Auroch
go.
goes down to C
Is
tier.
the Auroch? Yeah, the
I think
Auroch.
it's a stat stick. It's still good enough to be in B tier. But it is,
Okay.
but Auroch is unironically, I think, worse cattle. Never underestimate the cow.
This is chameleon. This is a giant chameleon again.
This is a giant chameleon and not the giant gecko.
Oh. Right.
Giant chameleon actually is a different creature. Speed 30,
Okay.
climb 30. It doesn't have the shenanigans where it can all the way up the wall, but it still has a climb speed. The bite goes from a D6 to a D8, so that's still solid. Strength goes up to like a 16, so that's okay.
Reasonable.
Dex goes to 12 from 14. Who cares? It's strength based. It's got average constitution, so it's reasonably tanky. And it's got a pull where it can use its tongue to yank something 5 feet closer. And then there's the pull rules for the tongue. It can use it as a grab, so it can grapple from at a range of 15 feet and just casually tug things closer if it wants, very slowly. The tongue doesn't do damage, of course. And the giant chameleon is not grappled by its own tongue. So it's kind of a grab monster, but not as dangerous as most other grab monsters. It's got a reasonably strong bite.
It's
It can be
my
sneaky since it has like bonus stealth while it's still.
There is definitely that thought where I'm like, oh, well, my monk Kizin was doing range grapple nonsense with a Kusarigama, but it hasn't got the fucking follow. It could have the follow up. You
It
get
could
its
have the follow-up.
intelligence to 3, and it could start doing elephant stomp. I guess you can't get it key throw and other silly things though, so you
You
can't
can't.
monk it.
I
You can't
feel
turn it
like
into a complete monk. No, you could hypothetically Kraken style it and choke things out with its tongue.
And this might be going in. This is like high B, low A for shenanigan factor.
I feel like its
I think
shenanigans would
one
only
thing
bring it
that
to
we're
B. Yeah.
What's that does?
I was gonna say, I think the one thing that's being underestimated is its +10 to stealth, and its climb could absolutely have it like hide on a wall or a ceiling and wait for something to get close, and then just.
When you
mean,
have the most ghetto ass fucking roper.
You know, it is kind of ghetto roper. Actually, you could just kind of grab something and slowly
Yes.
drag it up a wall.
And choke it to death.
It could kidnap and choke things.
I say this goes in A tier because you've got shenanigans here, which a lot of other animal companions are not going to be able to pull off. And you can do some really dumb shit with it. And dumb shit is really high valued in my mind.
Should I put it next to the weasel or the bear, though?
Weasel for dumb shit.
That's what I thought.
Like it's not the biggest
No.
powerhouse, but you know, I
It's-
think the DM could have a hard time maneuvering and finessing around this thing you're doing. That it's like, what the fuck is this?
It's
So
absolutely
you've got a
not
surprise
powerhouse,
factor.
but it is strong enough and damaging enough to defend itself, and also can do shenanigans.
Yeah, and I think a lot of players, especially those like on the RPG forums, Reddit, when they do their tier lists and they think about everything tends to be real stats. It's like the whole back in the day Alchemist was like D tier because it's saves were bad, its bad was bad. It wasn't a real caster. And there was no consideration to the shenanigans it could pull off. And so I'm
I
thinking that
agree.
this thing is getting. You need to consider how much you will field this, do something with it. And the DM is just completely flatlining their brain on how to handle it. And that's power in itself.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we found some a place for the little powerhouse. Because apparently, I underestimated it a little bit. Alright, so, chimpanzee. You like your monkeys. So, ape form, so it has the best slots possible, the same as a player. It goes from small to
Mhm.
medium, so it'll eventually be able to wear the same things as you at 4th level. It's got the same speed and climb speed as the previous apes, so good.
Maneuverable.
A bite and a slam. The slam has a grab.
Oh, really?
Yes. Now, like, it's not the most damaging bite, and it's not the most damaging slam. It only goes up to a d6, d4 at advancement. And, like, the creature itself only gets up to 17 strength and 14 constitution. Dex goes from 17 to 15. So, like, not the biggest stat stick, but pretty good average stats, good slottage. It has a grab.
So I'm imagining, let's say you get this thing up to the intelligence. It's
Yep.
necessary.
Mhm.
And then let's say you go in for one of those combat style feats that allow you to rapidly hit. Let's say that this chimpanzee is fighting like a. Let's say it's fighting like a duelist or a rogue. In one hand, it has a dagger or a knife or something, or a kukri or whatever.
Right.
You grab something, and then you just start stabbing the shit out of it. Or you have monkey style, where it's just all over the place. Having basically being able to have an offhand that is a weapon with grab, and wield another one-handed weapon in the other hand
That's not
definitely
bad.
allows you to do the dumb. Again, it's back to dumb shit.
Alright.
I think we put this is somewhere between B and A because its stats aren't quite as good as the apes for being able to wield stuff,
Like,
but
its stats
it has
overall
a
are kind of
grab.
middling.
Yeah, but it can do things.
Yeah.
Like climb up a fucking something and then just drop on something's head and start just grabble stabbing it.
So next to chameleon then maybe for shenaniganry.
I mean, if Chameleon is A and this thing can wear all of the gear a player can wear, I'd say it's next to the Chameleon.
Like I think the
Because it's
chameleon's still better than it, but at this point I think it's better than it.
but
But
its stats are not indicative of what it
yeah,
can do.
true.
Belts, headbands, ability score improvement, druid progression,
Yeah.
whatever the hell stupid magic items you have to buy for it. There's a lot of fucking magic items it could just hold that do
This is
strange
true.
things.
Let's see. I believe there's a set of gauntlets I could get to make it slightly better at grabbing. You know, like I think they're called gauntlets of death maneuver. To give a +2 to a specific skill to a specific combat maneuver. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have
Ha,
the crocodile.
Juggernaut pauldrons again.
If you can't answer everything with juggernaut pauldrons.
I can and I will.
Yes, you can.
I can and I
Yes, you
will.
can.
Crocodile starts off small, gets up to medium. That part's
It
a
gets
little bit
death roll.
sad. It does get death roll. So it
I
has
like Crocs.
above average natural armor. I also like Crocs. It starts with a D6 bite that is grab. It has grab, so that's good. The bite goes up to a D8, so you could improve natural attack head up to a 2D6. The tail slap that it gets is a D12. There is an or there, as if to say you're not allowed to bite and tail slap, which I guess is there for balancing reasons. I guess they fear the sheer power of having a D8 and a D12 on an animal companion. The strength goes up to 19, so it's reasonable strength. Actually, kind of good strength. Not amazing, but good. Dex drops down to 12, who cares? It's clearly strength based. Constitution goes up to 17, so it's reaching a good average constitution. It's reasonably tanky. It's got death roll, so it can use its death roll to force a grappled foe to be knocked prone. Not tripped, knocked prone. So,
here's a thought. Here is a thought.
Yeah.
It says bite or tail slap. Well,
yes.
in that situation, don't you bite to grab? You maintain the grab, which will deal bite damage. And at that point, don't you just start tail slapping the shit out of them? And I know that's a hilarious fucking mental image.
It's a hilarious mental image. If you have to be able to maintain your grapple as
I mean,
a move action.
You
So
can
if
get
you
rapid
get-
grapple around this fucking thing.
If you get greater grapple and rapid grapple, then you absolutely could. You'd maintain as a move action, get your bite, possibly maintain as a swift action with the rapid grappler, get your bite again, and then tail slap it
Yeah,
for the higher damage
like
dice.
it's absolutely bite or tail slap, but you can finesse it into bite to grab, and then whip the shit out of it with your detailed tail. It's like this is doable.
Yeah, it does have the unfortunate one intelligence, so you're gonna headband it instead of investing in its intelligence with abilities for improvements. But
Yeah.
that might be fine because odd numbered, strengthened, con.
True.
Oh, it also gets hold breath, which is cute, and sprint, which could help it get into a fight faster.
It's also a once per minute, not a once per day nonsense.
Yeah, that's true.
So you
So
can use it in a per fight.
Yeah, it'll probably be on a per fight basis where you just have its speed go from 20 to 40 for the round to get it in and have it grapple something. You know, with its face. Okay,
Yeah.
so Crocodile, do you think it's B tier, or do you think it's good enough to make it into A through grab shenanigans and doing other things?
Okay, let's
also
say
kinda does damage.
you improve natural attacking. Does that D12 go up to a 2D6 though?
No, that
Or is
D12
it
goes up to a
3d6?
3d6.
It's a 3D6. I think
You
it's
can
an A
improve-
tier just on a. I think this is an A tier. Between innate grab, you've got death roll, you've got a really high damage. Is that tail slap primary? It seems to be.
Tail slaps, I think, are usually secondary, but when you're slamming them with a 3d6, do you care? Also, you're hitting
No.
a target that is grappled, and probably prone.
True.
So you're hitting.
Man, my brain wants to put this in S tier because, by the way, this is effectively trip but better. This is wolf things but a bit better because you're
Yeah.
prone. You're holding them
It
prone.
takes
It's
them a
two
little bit
stages
longer
of.
to achieve the prone, and they can't achieve the prone like attack of opportunity. They have to like spend a grapple to get them prone.
But if you're going rapid grappler anyway, it's like you're doing these things in quick succession.
Yeah.
All right, let's go A tier. I can't put it in S tier because you need to start actually moving towards doing very specific things with it. It is good on its own merit, but it's not S. You've got to work for it.
Yeah, like reasonably it might be good enough to be S, but there's much more work required to make it S. So I think A tier is a pretty good place for it.
Well, I mean, what is currently in S tier? Big damage, big grappler constrict, monkey, and pounce grab rake. So yeah, it is A.
My mind's
Permatrip.
just immediately going back. My mind just immediately going back to that swamp and the time that Misery got death rolled.
Yeah, she wasn't happy about that.
No one was happy about that. Well, the
That
crocodile
was
might have been happy about it.
the crocodile was happy until it got executed.
Yeah.
All right, we have a Dallo here. So I grabbed a picture of a goat, but I could not find a picture of a Dallo. A Dallo is kind of like somewhere between a goat and a pig. It's like it's a boar goat thing. It's got the little boar snoofler with goat horns.
Okay, I just googled Dallo, and apparently Dallo is some kind of wrapper or a calamari dish.
Things I did not know. Okay, cool.
I
guess.
searched Dallo Pathfinder, and we get a megafauna Brontotherium,
Yeah,
which is a relative of the rhino, which is also not what I'm looking at.
yeah. So
All right, we don't know Dallo.
I know what
This
it's
is
supposed to look
something.
like, but I couldn't find a picture of it, so we got to substitute it here as a goat. So it starts off small.
Yeah.
It gets to medium. Its ability scores suck. Its ability scores don't get much better. It does have 3 natural attacks, being 2 claws and a gore. And they go up to like D6 and D4s, but you're only hitting off of a 15 strength with them. And like, it's got a burrow speed, and that's probably the best thing it's got going for it, really.
Is this a stinky F because he's a stinky creature?
I was gonna say maybe D, just because I think burrow is good enough to be D.
Yeah.
Okay, D because it has one redeeming quality that it may or may not be able to leverage.
Yeah, so probably F.
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
kind of
it's
not.
like-
It's not very good. At least
Okay.
it might be a high F at least.
Stinky F
Ringhorn.
for stinky goat.
So Ringhorn, I'm gonna say stinky F. So what we have here is it's kind of fast. It only has hoof attacks, so it has a cardinal sin of 2 secondary natural attacks and nothing else. Even if it had good attacks, it has pitiful strength. Its dexterity starts at 18, drops to 16, so it's got reasonable, decent dexterity, but it's kind of committing a sin. Its size is up. If it stayed small, it would be decent. Maybe. Not really.
You know, I'm
It gets nowhere near.
sat here thinking, I know why this is not a threat, because if it came to attack you, you just grab it by the horns and lift it up and walk off with it.
It's dinner. It's not a threat, it's dinner.
Yeah. It's dinner that comes with a carrying handle.
I mean, to
Stinky
be fair,
F.
it is a deer.
Okay, so this is the one that I think is gonna demote ape. The devil monkey.
Okay. Okay.
So it's a devil. So the devil monkey. First off, it has the ape shape, so it's humanoid shaped. Medium to large, so it's already matching ape there. It doesn't have a climb speed, and that's unfortunate, but it does have better natural armor. It has only 1 attack instead of 3, but that 1 attack is a bite, which means you're not using your hands for attacking, so there's no good reason not to fill them. You're going to fill the ape's hands anyways. The bite has better scaling. It's a D8. It goes up to a D10. So it advances to a 2d8, not a 2d, not 2d6 to 3d6. That's probably fine. It's got better strength than the ape, worse constitution, better dexterity. It has a special quality called puncture armor. Now, puncture armor is a little bit misleading, but what it does is when it successfully lands a bite, there is a save involved, or the armor that is being worn also takes damage. If there is no armor present, there is a 50% chance that either the body slot, the chest slot, the shoulder slot, or the neck slot is targeted instead with that damage. So it bites things and breaks things on things, but also has the ape shape.
And it has rock throwing like a giant.
Yeah. So, better natural attack, better strength.
Oh,
same shape.
Shit. Yo, ape! Get down into A tier. Yeah, ape just got unseated. He just got booted out of his spot by whatever the hell this thing is.
Devil monkey.
Poor monkey. Poor monkey.
Google
I
images,
thought you'd
devil
feel
monkey.
that way. Like, it has substandard bulk. Like, it has low HP. But that's probably fine. If it's killed the thing already.
I mean, it might be coming in rocking, I don't know, whatever the hell you want to put in its hand.
Yeah, literally anything.
It's
It's got the humanoid shape. It's benefiting from all the things ape was, but it's better than a gorilla at doing ape things. It's just squishier, and that's its only downside.
Yep.
The Digmaul. So the cat thing with the club tail. First off, it's fast.
It fast.
It has a little bit of natural armor, not a relevant amount really, but it doesn't have 0. It has below average. It's got 4 natural attacks, 4, which is good. They start off kind of weak, and they stay kind of weak. It does have a special quality called Ball Tail, which I'm going to talk about, where a Ball Tail allows it to substitute its tail attack for either a trip or a bull rush. So anytime that it can make a tail attack, it could instead bull rush or trip. And it never provokes when it does this. It starts with low strength at 10, really high dexterity at 21, that drops down to 19, and the constitution is a little bit below average, but what are you going to do? It gets up to 14 strength.
This seems to be a creature that wants agile maneuvers and leverage its tail.
Yes. I don't think that this is a huge offensive threat on the field. I think it's a support animal companion. But it is supporting with a versatile, like, either bull rush or trip set, and you could hypothetically build it for either. Oh, you could build
Is
it
this
for
doing
both.
things? Is this doing it as well as a wolf is?
I
I
don't
guess
think
with
so.
agile maneuvers, it might be.
Maybe. I mean, maybe it might do it as well as a wolf.
Its size category is a step lower, so it can
Yeah.
affect less things. I think we're going on B because it's not all large and its stats aren't that impressive. I
Like,
think this is a B.
it's definitely held back by stats, but it does make for a decent support companion, I think.
I mean,
I'm
B tier is
feeling
decent.
low B tier because like most of the things in B tier can at least defend themselves.
Dire polar bear, the thing that made me angry at the beginning.
Yep. Okay, so you start small, you become medium.
Hold on, pause. Fearsome bony growths protrude from several spots on this massive animal's snowy fur. Massive animal! It's small and becomes large. It's small and becomes medium! Massive? What?
It has
F! I'm mad!
It has very suspiciously bare stats, you may notice.
Yeah, I know. Like, we could put this in the same place as bear, but it's also lying to you.
So, the dire polar bear, I think, only exists because Mammoth Rider exists, and I think they decided afterwards that they had to stat it out instead of giving you a dire polar bear as an animal companion. I think they realized they fucked up.
Nah. Oh, you're right, because there is literally dipolar bear in its choice, and it just doesn't fucking well, it does exist as a monster, and it's terrifying.
and it's not explained.
Oh.
I'm gonna have to remember that next time I play a halfling, I have to describe them as massive.
Well, I suppose to your perspective, it absolutely is.
Yeah, sure. All
You
right.
come up to somebody's large Labrador. Wow, this thing's massive.
Yeah.
Wow, this dog is huge. No, that's actually. Is it capital H huge or lowercase huge? It's obviously lowercase.
All right. So,
God damn it.
elephant/mastodon. You start medium, you get
Okay.
large. So you
Okay.
don't ever make it to huge. That's pretty standard. It has well above the actual like average armor at +4 base, but +3 when it advances, so it gets up to +7. So that's impressive. Its
Okay.
baseline gore is a D8.
Oh, it's 2d6 when it gets big.
It's 2d6 when it gets big, which means that you can boost that to 3d6. So it has a really big, nasty attack. It also has a slam that's sitting pretty at a D8. Could be 2d6. Its strength score starts at a 14, dex 14, constitution 13. It gets the average constitution, it gets a 22 strength. It also gets a trample for 2d6. If you want to trample with it. So, actually kind of spooky.
I wish they considered that the elephant has got a trunk that is perfectly capable of holding whatever the fuck it feels like. It literally has an opposable thumb on the tip of its trunk.
Oh,
It's
you
an
mean
elephant
where
thing.
it doesn't have grab on its slam?
Well, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm thinking the ability to grasp. I think this thing should be able to hold a greatsword in its trunk, is what I'm saying.
I mean, you can functionally turn its trunk into a greatsword. So where do we want to place elephant/mastodon?
I think for statistic reasons, it's probably an A tier.
I mean,
Yeah.
Then again,
it might
hold on.
dethrone. It might
We're
dethrone
swapping
giraffe.
it with giraffe.
It might
I think giraffe
Okay,
is
so
getting kicked out.
giraffe can hypothetically wield 3 great swords with 2 feet. This can wield a great sword
Hmm.
with and a butcher's axe with 2 feet. So is
I'm
3 great swords better than butcher's axe and a great sword?
I'm I'm just saying that if the great ape got knocked down to A tier, the giraffe is also getting down to A tier because the only thing it's got going for it is damage, and the mastodon does it better. So I think we're doing a
Yeah.
swap here.
Fair.
Yeah, I think this looks much better.
The
Is it
fairy
triggering
mount.
your OCD to have like a free spot at the beginning, and you've got to
Yes.
compress it down?
Yes.
Okay.
This is a canon event. It must occur for my sanity.
Okay. Well, you're glad that I'm not controlling this because this thing will be full of holes and randomly placed bugs.
Well.
You're not controlling anything ever again.
I'd be annoyed at
Anyways.
something and just throw it out here into the fucking bottom corner, just by itself.
Doesn't even get
Okay.
to go on the tier list.
So now we have this thing called the fairy mount. It's all I can find is that it's probably basically a dire corgi.
It's a corgi. It's the corgin. This is a good meme. It's a corgi. That's what this is
So
referencing.
speed's 30 feet, goes up to 40 feet when it advances, which is interesting. It starts at small, gets to medium. Natural armor isn't impressive, but it at least gets it. The bite isn't very impressive. It starts at D4, gets to a D6. Its strength gets up to a devastating 13 when it advances, so not very threatening. Dexterity drops from 12 to 10, as if that mattered, but at this point, its stats aren't good enough to warrant that. It at least has the average constitution, so it's kind of chunky, kind of. It gets like the ability stability and sure-footed, which both kind of help it maneuver better and make it harder to knock around.
Okay. I'm British.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not British. I'm English. And we have a weird racial affinity, probably because of the Queen, for corgis. I think this deserves its own category of corgi.
Hold
My
up.
sister
Let
would
me just
approve.
adjust things a little bit. to accommodate this weird category of corgi.
Remove the Iashi. That's not how you spell corgi.
Do you
God
think I
damn
can
it.
spell? Did it just erase all of it? No, it didn't.
There you go.
The corgi
Now
category.
desperately trying to center it. Corgi category. I'm happy now. So this gets to live down here by itself. It's not F. It should be, but it's not.
It's corgi
But
instead.
it's corgi. Fantastic.
Okay.
So anyway, frilled lizard.
The giant frilled lizard. Alright, so we're starting with a medium that goes to a large. The speed is 30, climb 30, so it's got that going for it. It's got above average natural armor that gets better at up to like a +6. It's got a bite attack, it's got a tail attack. These become a D8 and a D6 respectively. D8 means you can 2d6 it. So that's kind of decent. Ability scores, it starts off a little bit weak at 13, 15 dex, 13 con, but it gets a +8 advancement. So you're looking at a 21, a 13, and a 17. So good strength, the average constitution making it kind of chunky. It has this ability called Intimidating Charge. Intimidating Charge, I'm sorry to say, is kind of bad because Intimidating Charge, you'd think it's an Intimidate check on a charge attack. It is not. When it charges something, it does get a speed boost, so it goes faster. But the enemy makes a will save based off of a charisma scaling DC. It does at least move faster when it's using its Intimidating Charge ability, though, so it can charge fast.
It can scoom.
But the other part of that is like if it sticks because something happened to low roll hysterically, oh that's nice. You're probably not getting the Intimidating Charge's benefit off, but if you look at it as faster charge, it's decent. So,
It seems like a worse crocodile.
oh, it's absolutely a worse crocodile, but crocodiles are actually good. Like maybe my brain honestly wants to put it in C tier because all it is basically a stat stick that you're only taking because you like the creature, but it's not doing the job as well as some of the other creatures, some of the other stat sticks that we placed in B.
It's got a reasonably high strength at least, so that
It's got a good
sort of
strength.
stops it being super stinky.
Yeah, like it's got a great strength actually. Like the 21 strength is nothing to scoff at when we're looking at 22 as a breakpoint for B tier creatures as stat sticks.
True.
Like it's usable. It's not laughable. If you really like frilled giant lizards, it'll work. It will do its job. It will do the one job it's expected to do, which is charge in and bite something, and then maybe bite tail later on.
You know, if we're sort of here on this indicative point of Pathfinder players tend to have their obsessions, often with reptiles and lizards, or this and that. So I imagine there are some people who will see the giant frilled lizard and go, "Yeah, I want that. Is it garbage?
It's a cool creature.
Yeah, but I want it."
I mean, honestly, it might still deserve to be in B tier because it has such high natural armor. It's got natural bulk. It actually is bulky. It might deserve to be B tier, maybe low B.
I mean, and its stats aren't terrible.
It's got good stats, realistically. It's got good natural bulk, actually.
Yeah,
it does reasonable damage.
Yeah, it's pretty chunk.
Yeah.
Okay.
The giant frog. Okay, so let's just say something about this giant frog real quick. This giant frog has one stat line, right? Oh, but that stat line is the same for the frog, the frog father, and the Goliath frog. It's all the same stat line. I don't know why there's 3 creatures with the same stat line for this animal companion. I just wanted to get that out because that annoyed me a little bit. Anyways, speed 30 feet, it's fine. Swims 30 feet, that's fine. And natural attacks is at least at least it has natural armor. It's got a bite. The bite's a D6. Its ability scores are 15, 13, 16. It's got reasonable bulk. It doesn't get better bulk. It does have 2 pluses. Dexterity goes to 15, but Okay. Strength goes to 17. It's decent. It does have the tongue thing that the chameleon had, but it doesn't have a climb speed. So, I mean, you could drag things into water. That's a thing you could do. It also has swallow whole, but it doesn't have a grab on its bite, so you would have to patch that yourself if you're a druid or a hunter.
Well, don't you grab it with its tongue and swallow whole it that way?
I mean, you could, but you gotta kind of drag it in. I mean, pull moves like
Well,
5
no,
feet
you.
around, so it
Yeah,
could
but
grab
you
and
don't.
swallow whole with its tongue.
You don't have to fire its tongue out at its maximum range. It's not a
True.
reach weapon.
I mean, that's true.
You could stand next to it and just go blum. But its
Okay,
strength
so
isn't.
that
great.
might be decent, then.
Uh,
I mean, it is kind of battlefield removal. You can remove something about, like, small, maybe medium.
Yeah.
I
I don't
know
think
if
it's
swallow
A
whole
tier.
works on-
It's not
Is it even-
horse tier though.
So you think it's B tier?
I think it might be B because swallow whole is something you can do something with this.
You can.
It's not just horrors.
It's like it's like a 2-turn battlefield maneuver. It is a 2-turn battlefield removal. Essentially, something can get out depending on what the thing is. So B tier next to cattle or next to lizard though.
It's at the bottom definitely.
Okay. The Galarok. You might wonder what the fuck a
I did-
Galarok is, and I did too.
I do.
It's a fucking snake.
Oh.
It's a snake. It's faster than your average snake at 30 feet. It's got a 20-foot climb speed, which is average for a snake.
Apparently it's stout. So
It
it's
is
a
apparently
short
stout.
snake.
And it has jagged fangs and no venom. It does get this constrict rule.
Does it have a bleed for having jagged fangs?
No, it has a grab. It's a grab constrict snake. It's got less stats than the constrictor though. It's faster than the constrictor. It has less stats than the constrictor, so it kind of does the job worse. It does have dark vision, which you might consider a benefit. It gets 16 strength and like 15 con.
Oh, it doesn't have the stat stick for A tier though.
No. Like, it's probably decent, but
I'd
it's
say this
maybe-
is C tier because you've got to compare it to the constrictor snake.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, it has stats that could place it in B tier, but the constrictor exists.
Like unless you're playing a dwarf druid who just wants a short, fat fucking muscle snake, you're just going for this constrictor.
Yeah.
So you've got two things available to you. This one is objectively worse. You're not also placing it on its own merits. You're placing it on what its contemporaries are.
Yeah,
Might even be D tier, frankly.
I feel
But I
like B
can't-
tier is a little too harsh
we-
for it. Especially
Yeah, we
when
can't put it
gets
in the same tier as the fucking llama.
fucking llama.
You're right. The llama is shiny. It's not.
I mean, it doesn't even the alpaca. Let's be honest. Fucking llama.
Gliding turtle.
I don't know why a gliding turtle's a thing. It's slow as fuck. It's turtle as fuck, so of course it's slow as fuck. AC is pretty low for a turtle, but I mean it's still above average when it gets its advancement at 4th level. It has a bite.
Pay
The
30-foot
bites-
fly speed.
Yeah. I don't fucking
Fly
know.
and
It gets a,
You can ride it in combat.
you can ride the fucking turtle when it hits 4th level, yes. It has a gliding
Cavalier
charge and
idea.
a special quality of glide. Also, it's bite. It does something. It goes up to a D8. Its stats aren't very good though.
It's
Hey,
a
it's
shame.
still at least a C because other turtle is in D. This one
So-
can fly.
What we have to do is we have to calculate how much damage this thing would do as a thrown object. So you fly with your clumsy speed. and on charging trajectory, it retracts into its shell and just crashes into them. You know
If
how
you add
that
a
Greek philosopher? You know how that Greek philosopher died because a hawk dropped a tortoise on his head? That, but as a standard tactic.
Yeah, except this is a large one, so it can have a cavalier on its back, adding a lance to the fall.
How does it attack? Straight down.
I hear, you know that Monster Hunter meme with Gunlands, Basil Goose, Magnum
Let's fucking
Hollow.
go.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
I'm just hearing that shout in the back of my head. Okay, but how do we tier this thing?
It's gotta be C. It's a me. It's fucking C.
It's bad
It's better
stats,
than
but it
regular
might
turtle.
have
Yep.
something. I mean, I don't know. Is it better than
Hey,
regular turtle? Regular turtle
It
does.
can fly.
it can fly.
It's regular turtle's a lot more survivable though, especially when you're considering dropping it at terminal velocity on somebody's head.
All right, fine. We'll put it in D.
I mean, to be fair, you're going with it.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I
You know?
don't know.
All right, let's drop it down to D. I'm convinced. Oh, Goblin Dog. I know about
Goblin dog.
these.
Yeah.
I hate them.
Bite starts off weak, doesn't get much better. I've actually used one of these as a cavalier mount, by the way. It was really funny. Allergic reaction is a. So allergic reaction is a disease effect, and it's really fucking annoying when you get it to proc on your players, like, because they absolutely hate it. It imposes a -2 penalty to dexterity and charisma for an entire day, if they fail to save. The save can proc as many times as the goblin dog touches them, or they touch it. Its strength is very subpar. It gets up to it gets a +4 to it, so it brings it to 15. It's still kind of bad. Constitution goes to a 15. It's still kind of low. It's lower than average. It do be funny. Probably D tier for funny, but maybe lower. I can't mentally justify placing it in the C tier, even though I've used it unironically.
Yeah, is it? It can't really use its allergic reactions. Its constitution isn't stellar. I think it has to go in stinky tier because it's not very good at using what it has.
Okay, I won't argue with that. I have a little
Like
bit of
its
nostalgia
job,
for using it.
its job is designed to be a creature with goblins to annoy players.
Yeah,
That's
and
its
it's
job.
damn good at it.
Because frankly, the only thing with low enough stat blocks to actually get fucked by this are probably goblins, which are immune.
Yeah. I have a lot of nostalgia. I'll admit.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, okay. You can scale up that constitution to be better. But yeah.
DC scaling will absolutely trash it though.
Especially against monsters, unless you're fighting like against rogues and wizards, they might get cucked by it. Or sorcerers, which will get cucked by it harder. Okay. The Gorthek. So picture, if you would, a lion with curved horns. That's kind of what a Gorthek is.
It says massive again.
Yeah. Okay, it's medium to large though this time. And it doesn't cap out at medium. So from the perspective of your common average person, it might appear as massive. In fairness.
Man,
No
Gortheks are fucking
pounce.
ugly.
No
Yeah.
pounce, rake, and fucking any of that shenanigans.
I mean, read the powerful charge though.
I mean, it's cute, but
4d6 plus twice strength modifier.
pounce better? Plus grab? Plus rake?
So
I think there's things here to be
let's.
done with, like, you know, Rhino hide armor that gives the boost to charge damage. You could do Rhino hide barding and just go all in on its powerful charge.
Like, getting into it, it's got a base d8 gore, and that increases to a 2d6.
Yeah.
It's got a base 16 strength, so it's already got a good strength out of the box, which is rare. but it also gives a +8 to that good strength, bringing up to the highest number we've seen yet, which is 24. 24 strength before animal companion adjustments. Dexterity, it's dexterity blows. But again, it's a strength monster. It has heavy high natural armor, getting up to like the +7, matching the elephant. And the constitution, 13 to 17, it reaches the average con score that we're working with on this grouping, which means it's kind of reasonably durable. And that powerful charge is a lot of damage.
So double strength modifier. Then you've got power attack.
And it's kind of got the same layout, which, because of how gore works, technically speaking, you're getting your 2d6 gore plus 1.5 strength because it's the only natural attack the thing has, which is probably actually going to be a 3d6 gore because you're probably improved natural attacking, plus 46, plus twice strength. Because that's how the powerful charge layout actually reads. And the fact that it reads like this on this one implies bullshit.
Yeah,
so
I
we're
think there's
looking at
some
a
vital.
76 plus like 3.5 strength modifier bullshit.
And then there's feats. There's vital strike nonsense.
You can't vital strike a charge.
No, fuck. I keep forgetting that.
You should be able to, but you can't.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's got probably the nastiest charge we've seen yet.
The problem with charges is like typically it's a
only getting
one
one.
and done. Because you can't exactly unless you're willing to waste like 2 turns pulling back and setting up for another one.
For,
I think
for that much damage, you might be willing to, though.
so. I think there's a point here you can make about not necessarily spring attack, but if you can find a way to actually get trample or hell, just fucking overrun, you can sort of trigger all of these abilities. And if you, because it's got enough strength and bulk, you can probably just run straight over the top of it and just keep going.
It's very easy to get improved overrun on an animal companion.
Yeah, so your charge doesn't have to stop once you've done this to them. You can keep going, wheel around, and just do it again.
There's also means
The
of
only
getting
issue
like bull rush at the end of that to shove them away.
It might,
with that,
unless overrun says you like make an attack, I think you actually do have to find what's it called, like spring attack shenanigans.
I don't think overrun will work with it, to be honest, but a bull rush to knock them back will help reset your charge.
Somehow
I think
gets in the dimensional dervish tree.
I think there might actually just be feats for it. Like I think there is like wheel around charge or something. I'm pretty sure there's
you could be
cosplaying
a cavalier on whatever you're on whatever class you actually are, like either hunter or druid, and setting up a bull rush shenanigans kind of weapon.
Hey,
maybe
either that or you
shield.
or you make a duo of people. One person playing the druid grabs this as their companion, and then the other person plays a cavalier and just ignores their own mount.
Or you play the cavalier archetype that can use any companion.
That's
also a thing.
That's actually true, especially with the druid, because you have enough. You do have spells that you could do the bull rushing. You've got enough self boosts. You can synchronize your attack with the charge. This thing doesn't actually need to bull rush or anything. You can just yeet them the fuck away.
You can use them for it, and if they don't close distance again on their turn, which will waste most of their turn probably, it's gonna happen again.
Or you just go ping pong to something else.
True. So where do we place Gorthek?
I mean, I'm a massive fan of charge beasts. I kind of want to put it in S tier, but S tier. Do we swap it with the elephant?
I don't think we need to move the elephant because the elephant does technically do a different job.
Okay, I think this goes in S tier.
Is a huge like slam it into face beast. But once you're there, you need a means of resetting your charge. Otherwise, you're doing less than the elephant.
A then, because conditionals.
I mean, I'd say either A or S.
It's a massive stat stick. It's got some things you need to do. I think it's an A tier because it needs you to support what it does. You need to start doing some things.
Like, it might absolutely blow something up, but also once you're there, you've done your one and done.
Yeah.
And if the enemy saw what just happened, they're not letting it happen again.
I mean, it's kind of like the vital strike thing. Like when you walk up and do your one vital strike, that's kind of the equivalent of this.
I mean, in fairness though, you've seen Misery's one vital strikes. I'm not gonna say those are
Yeah.
wasted feats at all.
I never said it was a wasted feat, but
Yeah.
it's nothing compared to when she's actually allowed to, get a turn.
Full
Blend.
attack. That's true.
Blend.
And that's the thing for most fighters. It's like, okay, yeah, it's not the
Yeah.
same as when they're allowed to full attack.
Like
Like
the
Amaya
Gorthek's-
would not trade her movement and her pounce shenanigans. She would not trade it for an instant for these vital strike shenanigans.
Yeah, that's fair. And it's like the Gorthek, if you've been jumped and things have already closed with you and you didn't get your charge off, you're now in melee and you're left to gore attack, which is much less exciting than your actual powerful charge bullshit. It's still a good gore attack.
Yes. Like I said, you got to figure out a way to give it as far as dimensional charge.
Yeah.
Dimensional dervish tree, go to the dimensional charge.
Actually, if you gave it dimensional dervish and just went that far, that'd be fucking hysterical.
Get to 3 intelligence and try and figure out how to get it. No, you don't really need. You don't
At
need
3
favored class.
intelligence, like at 3
Yeah.
intelligence, you can suddenly start investing in planes. You can take the what is that ability?
It's
That's
dimensional
Flickering
assault.
step.
flickering step, and then you can build into the dimensional assault tree. And you
Yes.
don't need to go any further than assault because
Yeah, you
you're
don't.
getting
You just
more
need
than
the
one
telecharge.
attack.
Yeah,
You
yeah, you
just
just need
telecharge
charge.
every turn. That's pretty good,
Fear
actually. That's
might-
kind of stupid.
You might want dimensional agility just so the dimensional dervish thing doesn't immediately end your turn.
What
So,
else are you doing with your
You might
turn?
want agility.
Like,
I
what is
think
the rest of your
agility
turn
is
to
the
that point?
prerequisite for the charge.
Is it?
Yeah.
Probably,
Okay.
honestly.
Yeah, like you get the flickering step and then agility and then charge is like the next one. Because you get
Okay.
one attack and then you go into the multiple attacks.
What are you doing with it? I don't know. Maybe you can figure out. It's got to figure out a swift action for it. I don't know.
If you can, then awesome. Alright, so the Enchanter Heron.
It's a bird.
It's a bird. It's got a 20-foot fly speed. It starts medium, it goes up to large. It actually has a respectable, like, bite at its single and only attack. It goes up to 17 strength. It goes up to 14 con. Dexterity
It
drops to
has
13.
swallow.
It does have swallow whole.
Where's his grab?
It does not have a grab, and it doesn't have a means of grabbing natively. It does have this ability called Throat Sack, which is one of those weird charisma scaling fascinate effects, where you trick stupid things into staring at the you trick stupid things into staring at the throat sack, and then
But then
punish them for it.
Then it eats them.
Yeah.
Because this is clearly how it hunts.
It's got.
But also that only works in a. You see an enchanter heron spearing fish and gobbling them down. Once it gets into a fight with you, it can no longer do that because he has no way of grabbing.
Yeah.
Like, there seems to be. We have flavor here. Does it have any way of leveraging it? No.
Yeah, you would have to do you'd have to like lockjaw it to give it grab if you wanted to actually use that swallow hole reasonably. Or you could have it slowly try and grab something with its face, and spend like you can build into grab to make it grab, but then it's not probably biting something when it grabs them, and you're just spending your turn.
stats.
Yeah, I mean it's slightly better than bird stats. Like 17 strength is much better than the 12 and 14s we've been seeing for birds.
I'm
not-
just gonna be honest. Giant owl, this is not.
Yeah, it's worse than just
I think it's D for bird.
Okay,
Get in the bag.
it is going into D then. That's fine.
Oh hey, look, another bird.
It's another heron. This one actually can fly though. Like it's got a 60-foot fly speed. It's got some natural armor, like actually some decent natural armor. It's got another decent bite at a base of D8 to 2d6. So it's got that going for it. So it can stat stick, it can fly, it gets to large. You can ride it. It also gets up to 21 strength. A part of me wants to blank out the fact that it's still Predator because still Predator is a thing that it has. But okay, so still Predator. It can use the freeze ability when it's adjacent to trees or any vegetation that could conceal its upper body. Most creatures aren't going to be stupid enough to fall for it, but some will be, maybe. It's also got reasonable like bulk because con 14 to like 16 is reasonable.
So effectively, what we're looking at here is this works on anything with 1, 2, or 0, 1, or 2 intelligence, but they also need to have poor senses, which
Well,
means they
not
need to not
both.
have
It has
scent.
to one or the other.
What?
Low intelligence or poor senses. There's an or there, not an and.
Okay. So this will effectively work on literally any other animal.
Most other animals, yes.
Well, anything over 3 or over is a magical beast.
Usually, yeah.
Usually, so. It's a fucking hunting strategy. What does an animal hunt? Other fucking animals.
Yeah, that's
It's a
true.
heron, so it's fish and frogs.
Hey, it
Fish,
could trick
frogs,
undead.
and... Oh god, it could fucking ambush undead. Oh god, you're right.
When your heron is ambushing zombies.
Dude! I was about to say brilliant energy. That's not positive energy. Imagine this with an amulet of mighty fist or enchantments for hosing undead, and it just stands perfectly still in the dungeon. And undead swords just don't register it there, unless they've got life surds. And as
It's got
they
to be
walk past,
adjacent to trees or vegetation, so you'd have to set it up a little.
I mean, okay, in a haunted graveyard, and it's just there. Wait, that's a great monster, like a weird plain touch heron, like a positive energy touch, and it's taken its new hunting grounds to the graveyards and the derelict haunted house, and they're just stood there waiting for zombies and ghouls to walk past, and it just
So,
grab.
my brain actually went a different direction, more towards like raven or more notably vulture heron, some kind of vulture-esque one of these that
A carrion feeder, then.
like instead of hunting animals, it is an animal specialized in hunting undead because it just stands there and plucks their heads off. That would be pretty cool.
Okay. So this is going to go into D for bird.
I think it's
But
too good to go into D. I think it's way too good for D.
You think it's a C? C for bird?
We're looking at a 21 strength bird.
Oh, you're right,
you
with a
can ride
2d6
and
bite.
fly with a 2d6
Okay.
baseline bite.
B. It's a B. Okay. Or is it an A?
I think it's better than the B tier birds. Like I think it's better than
Oh.
Direbat, and I think okay, the owl has a higher damage potential. I think. But the
I was looking
heron
at the
here
bat
has
for
better
B as the
stats.
standard. Okay. Maybe B then? We've got
B or
chimps
A.
and shit in A. We got gorilla in A.
Yeah,
but again,
this
A
is
is
a
becoming
stat
very subjective now.
Yeah. It's like it's
High
got
B.
high B. I think it could go into A realistically because it's a flyer with a good attack.
Yeah, my brain shorted a bit because I got lost in this concept of an undead hunting heron thing. I was very excited about it.
And then you realize it actually has good stats.
Yeah. Like, how do I make this
Brain
good?
immediately went, bird, it's garbage. Stats
Yes.
garbo.
Yeah.
No, it actually has good stats. It actually has
It's a good thing this is not just me doing a tier list, because it'd just be all like, oh, I assumed it was bad back in the day. I'm like, I'd be the worst tier
Reads
list
that
maker.
it's bird, immediately puts it in D tier and moves on.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Immediately makes a more interesting animal.
I think this is absolutely the best flyer that we've seen yet, though. Easily. So, you know how the Goblin Dog's kind of bad? This is the Hobhound. This is an upgrade.
Okay.
So you start out at medium, And okay, so it doesn't make it to large, but it's not small at any point. It's got a 40-foot speed, so it's fast. It's not faster, it's slower by 10 feet. It's not got great natural armor at start, but it gets up to the higher than like the standard. So that's good. It triggers its allergic reaction on a bite. It has the allergic reaction ability of Goblin Dog, but it has a better constitution to leverage it with. Base, and it
I
gets
have
a
to
better one casually scaling.
I have to be honest, this one pisses me the fuck off.
Why?
Just thanks to that fucking special quality fire resistance 3. Why 3?
Yeah,
Why?
I don't know why it has fire resistance 3. It seems like such a weird number.
Like, that
Make it
sounds like it
5.
picked the... Yeah, exactly. This sounds like it picked up a trait and it was like, you gain fire resistance 3. It's not quite as good as normal fire resistance, but it's there.
I don't know why it has fire resistance 3. It does get a respectable strength score from 12 to 18 though. And constitution becomes respectable at 17.
Might be a C tier. It depends
It's
how
Goblin
funny
Dog,
you
but
want the
better.
allergic.
Yeah, it's
I think
better
it might be
Goblin
a
Dog.
C.
I could see that.
Here's the thing: how spectacularly funny can allergic reaction really be?
It's a disease effect, and it's a -2 to Dex and Charisma. It doesn't stack with itself.
It definitely just again the whole allergic the whole allergic reaction thing definitely seems to be a player irritation more than a monster irritation, because even then, anything that you might want to start stat shredding that's in melee with you is mostly not going to care. I guess unless he's a skulk or something rogue adjacent.
Yeah, and you can stack that with like things like fatigue to dump the dexterity further.
Mm.
Or possibly cause spell casters to lose their spells. Because it's -2 charisma.
Yeah.
It's stat loss.
I mean, I still think it's C.
Yeah.
The hippopotamus. Is this going to make me mad?
Yes, it doesn't
I
have
don't
know.
powerful bite.
Oh, fuck it.
It doesn't have
I
powerful
mean, it's
bite,
got
but it has a 2d8.
bite. It's got a 2d8 bite.
It's got one of the biggest single hits we've seen.
Okay, I want to
Its
point out that
strength
it
score
doesn't.
seems abnormally small for... We've seen birds that are stronger than a medium hippo.
So
Yeah, that's true.
this is a hippo, and I was about to go. It doesn't have a swim speed, but then I remembered hippos don't swim.
Yeah,
They walk a lot.
they walk on the
Yeah,
bottom and
they're
bounce.
too fucking dense to swim.
Anyways,
But it doesn't have whole breath.
Like the fact that a level 1 adventurer can like wrestle a level 7 hippo like in just sheer strength.
alright, but
Oh.
okay,
Welcome back.
so keep in mind that strength score at a 19 is not also counting the stats that it's getting just for being an animal companion. It's actually that 19 at level 7 is actually a 21. We have
We
not
are
really been
just
considering
looking.
that, but bullying it.
We're just
unfair.
comparing it to an actual hippo. What is
Okay.
the actual hippopotamus's stat block as far as Pathfinder is concerned?
I had to read it earlier, but I forgot the stats on it.
So, the average hippopotamus as a monster, monster, it is a CR5 creature with 19 strength. Yeah.
Okay, that's huh. I guess Pilot
I'm
didn't
just
think highly of it.
I'm just doing the same thing I did with the kangaroo. I'm looking at this and finding it lacking. But I will not judge it unfairly based on that. It's got a really strong bite attack, and I feel that could, at the very least, because of the shenanigans you can do with this, put it probably in A. Maybe.
It's got a
For
really
that
strong bite
one
attack.
vital strikey super bite.
I don't think it's got the stat stickery for A.
It has a lot of damage potential. It has like the 1.5 string multiplier on that bite. It could have a 3d8 bite with the feet. It has really good
A
natural
feat,
armor.
and then you're dropping all of the fucking the druid like buffs onto it. Like
That's true.
it can be made a lot more scary with that 2d8 bite. I mean, we've given other things just for sheer damage, and this is like the singular good
2d8
I think
is the
maybe
highest number that we've seen baseline.
I might be
It-
throwing some shit at it because it's like this is not sufficiently hippo enough to be a hippo as far as I'm concerned. So I'm dropping it down a tier based entirely on that.
I mean, we could be it because it is a lot like the charging beast that we just looked at, where it requires setup to be good for its one big thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think B tier.
yeah, it's got lower stats than a lot of
Man,
our A tiers. Like
the
it's got
16 con hippos are like fucking tanks. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, they are
there's.
tanks.
I mean, it's the
not
whole
in
thing with
this.
like there's elephants, there's hippos, and there's particularly large crocodiles. You know, like fucking Gustav,
Yeah.
that have been shot with 50 cals, and the 50 cal has failed to particularly penetrate them, just penetrate their armor because a hippo weighs several fucking tons.
Yeah.
30% of their weight is skin because it is so thick and dense. Like, there's balancing going on here, and they didn't want to make it megafauna tier. But a hippo's megafauna.
I mean,
It's the last
okay,
fucking
so
like.
the natural armor of a hippo might be indicative of that skin because they did give it an abnormally high natural armor bonus. Like
It
it
is
has
plus
more
8 by
natural.
level 7.
Yeah, it's got
Yeah.
a massive amount of natural armor just innate.
Oh,
I'm sticking with my B appraisal.
I think what the issue is here is that let's say you're designing something, or you're the average person on the street. I don't think the average, like, if you ask someone, what's the biggest killer in Africa? They'll go, "Oh, it's lions. Oh, it's something." But then it turns out it's the fucking hippo, and they're like, "What, really?" Because they look big and cuddly and doofy, and your perception of them isn't murder tank. And I
Man, hippos
think
are
this is
terrifying.
where this is.
I'd
I
rather
think
hang
this
out with the
might be what
crocodiles.
they fucking throw crocodiles around like rag
Yeah, I'd
dolls.
rather hang out with the crocodiles.
Yeah, it's like mud puppy or that thing. To the mud puppy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a perception issue here. It's like it should be a lot stronger, but there's a game balance, and you don't want the hippo to be more terrifying than your big magical beast death machine
That's true.
either. It should be, but you don't want it there.
Oh yeah, it also has the trample rule, so that's kind of nice sometimes if you want to
Oh,
trample
true,
things.
it's a trample. I don't hate trample.
Yeah.
Depending on what the footprint of the creature is, trample just going over an entire party because it's massive. We got hit
Yeah,
by
right.
some like corrupted tree ant things in Iron Gods, the massive tree monsters.
I feel like the scariest trample that comes to mind immediately was the zombie ooze thing that was shit talking us while trampling us.
Fucking true.
Ah, they've lined up perfectly for my trample attack. Your what? All right, all right.
You know, we keep saying this as much as Z had his fucking issues. My god, he was a good DM. He was fucking great as a
Okay, okay.
DM.
The hyena. All right, so you hyena lovers, I'm sorry to tell you this. Hyena's kind of trash. It's worse wolf.
It's laughing dog.
All right, statistically,
Fur is screaming, howling
statistically
into the night.
below average strength. The dexterity doesn't matter. The constitution below average. The natural armor below average. The damage it does D6. It does get trip. It can do wolf shenanigans, but if you're doing wolf shenanigans, just use a wolf.
Yeah, this is just a shit wolf.
Like, I don't. Is it bad enough to go into D tier? Actually, stats are
Yes.
pretty pitiful.
Yeah, its stats aren't good.
There are things in D tier with better stats than it.
The only thing that's got going for it is that it's got 50 feet of movement speed.
Yeah,
But
which
that's
is
like,
nice.
whatever.
So does the wolf.
D for bird.
D, D for hyena.
All right. So then we also
It's got bird stats! What the fuck?
It's got better than bird stats.
That's why I said D for bird.
Damn, this is on
Alright.
point.
Switchback jackal. This is a thing that exists.
What's this? Well, hold on. Special qualities, problem solver. I'm intrigued.
Okay, so
Ha!
problem solver for like the purpose of the like players will mostly just mean that it gets an additional trick.
Oh.
It's not it's not a big game changer, honestly. It is like one of the few animal companions that gets a wisdom boost when it has its 4th level advancement. So that's pretty cute. It gets
Johnny
plus average
here.
wisdom off of
He's
it.
a problem solver. He solves problems. And he's inexplicably with the Monkey Mafia.
Also no strength boost. Only dex boost.
Fucking ignoring me, okay.
And con goes to 16, 16's fine. It gets a bonus feat called Overwhelm. Overwhelm is a teamwork feat. Essentially, like a bunch of dude bros with Overwhelm can flank a target that's larger than them from like any directions.
So it's pack tactics.
It's basically pack tactics.
My issue with this is the Switchback Jackal decides it gets this at level 4.
Yeah.
But unlike with the Hunter arrangement, where the Hunter gets it and the Companion gets it, this requires you then to decide you're going to go get it. Which for a Druid, it might not be the worst idea. A Hunter, if he has it, is a waste to get it because you want the Hunter to have it, to share it with the Companion,
Yeah.
not the other way around.
Yeah.
So
Very cool that it gets a teamwork feat. Not very good.
now, what this should do, it should get Overwhelm, but it shouldn't be a bonus feat. It should be a feature it gets with its 4th advancement where it can apply Overwhelm to itself when fighting with the party.
So basically Overwhelm with
That's what
solo tactics.
Yeah, it should get solo tactics Overwhelm because then it's usable. As it stands, it is not usable because you're either relying on other players to get it, which is getting other players to take teamwork feats is fucking hard, or you take it yourself, which kind of who fucking cares? I mean, I guess you could be wild shaping to combine with it,
yeah,
but
like
you'd
on
be
a hunter
taking
that's
this on a
boneless on a druid, it could be beneficial. Yeah.
Yeah, but this really needs to be solo tactics for the Jackal. That it just it's working well enough with the party to be able to do this, and it would give this thing a niche in which it can shove itself into and actually be good at it.
Yeah. As it stands, it's kind of just it has too low stats for what it's bringing to the table. It's absolutely a dex-based creature, getting absolutely no strength. It gets up to 17 dex, which is fine, it's decent for fighting. But you're tax feeding into that, like if that bonus feat was instead weapon finesse, that would be much better.
Yeah.
For what the thing is bringing to the table. But like
thing
if
is,
it had soul
thing
tactics
is
overwhelm,
though,
that would be really cool. That'd be flavorful. That would fit. And soul tactics would
thing
make it
is,
actually work.
thing is, though, Piranha Strike and Butterfly Sting and all those things that really are dex keyed, or fucking
Yeah.
Slashing Grace, all these things. You've got so much more and better support on a player, and this thing needs all of those, and it can't really do much too good with them.
Yeah.
Like it wants to be, it wants to be doing rogue things.
Yeah.
It's not good enough.
If it, if it instead got some sneak attack scaling, that would fix it probably.
Oh god, you're right. I don't think they want to be. I don't think they want to give animal companions sneak attack scaling though. Like even if they give them a 2d6 or something, just something nice and reasonable, like great sword gold base standard that you're looking for. I think they'd start worrying about it's overpowered or it can do
even
this.
if it had a
My
D6,
Pathfinder society.
I mean, even if it had a D6 precision damage on 3 attacks would have probably made this maybe B tier, probably C tier. As it stands, it would be generous to put it in D tier.
It's keying things off sneak. But then they're going to be worried about you getting the sneak attack augments. You get accomplished sneak attack, and then you can get your bleeding sneak or whatever. You can probably finesse sneak precision damage based feats into it. And I think they're worried about that being it's a bit overpowered for what this is. But it's like, but you make something shit,
weak.
then no one looks at it.
Like,
This
it is
is the
so
fucking problem with
weak.
Paizo's idea of balancing. You've got objectively good choices and you've got objectively bad choices, then you've got shenanigan choices. If you start making objectively bad things, no one uses it.
So where should we place this thing? Is it F tier?
It's not F tier.
D tier?
Oh, no, right, it's not synergizing with itself.
If it synergizes with itself, it would be easily D tier, I think.
And
If
I
it
just
synergizes
got
with
mad
itself, make it
about
C
it.
tier.
It made me so mad I started complaining about Paizo's fucking design choices. Yeah, he's F.
Llama. So, okay, so what we have here, base stats, not great. After advancement, constitution to 16 and strength to 15. It's got one natural attack that's a bite that gets up to a d6. It's, a little bit faster than you at least, and,
It's
it
not a
doesn't,
shiny llama.
it doesn't do anything special, so probably F tier. Because, like, it's not
Worse,
particularly well
worse than
statted.
shiny alpaca.
Yeah. Let's be fair. Shiny alpaca got where it is because it's shiny.
Yep.
I'm not hey, I'm willing to admit that fucking that's it.
What's a
The
Marax? Oh my
Okay.
god, it's fucking hideous.
So a Marax is it's an alien creature from Castrovel. It can be found in Garund and in Numeria.
It looks like this.
Yes, it does.
It's like a T-Rex that lost its arms and mutated a bit.
Looks like
It
something out of
has.
Monster Hunter.
It's supposed to have little scythe hands to scratch things with.
Where is? No, it don't.
It's supposed to. Look, read the description.
Okay, I'm just saying that
But yeah,
in the images there's no hand.
in the images, it looks like an armless T-Rex. So this creature, speed 30 feet.
Okay.
Above average natural armor starts at a +3, gets up to a +5. It starts with a D6 bite and tail barbs that act as a secondary natural attack. Those do 1d4 plus a poison. The poison is like a dex damage poison, so 1d2 dex damage.
Okay.
That part maybe not the most exciting because it's not got particularly good con to build it off of, but you can consistently apply it by slapping things with your tail, so it might eventually start stacking and get spooky. So it advances into a large creature. Its bite goes from a d6 to a d8. The claws that you don't see pictured here, they become a d4. So now you have 4 natural attacks on a 22 strength base that gets pounce.
It do get pounce.
22 base strength, 14 con, so it's a little squishy. And I feel like they're allergic to giving things with poison a good constitution score because they're afraid of poison being good. But that's just kind of their philosophy of, oh, this thing has a constitution scaling ability, so we have to give it shitty con. But yeah, 4 natural attacks. You could give it lockjaw with it being a druid or a hunter if you wanted it to grab, so it could hypothetically do the job of like your big cat. And it's poisonous. More attacks.
So there is the idea that it is, since it is it does have venom, so it can be milked.
It can be
So
milked.
the presence of an alchemist makes it a great utility beast because they can do all the poison shenanigans. You know, they can concentrate it, double its celestial poison, so it works with undead and demons.
Not to mention it's just a stat stick that can really hurt something.
It's also just a big stat. You know, I think this is a high B, low A, depending.
I mean, I think a high, like, okay, D8, the D4s aren't great, but the D8 to a 2D6, okay, that could work. A D4 tail attack that doesn't scale up, okay, so 3D4 tail attacks, not 3D4 tail attacks, 3D4 attacks, and a 2D6 possible attack. Off of a 22 base strength, I think this could make a pretty easy A, honestly.
Pounce, too.
Just because of the pounce and the high strength. Using it as a
Okay.
vector for damage.
Yeah, alright. Fine.
Dat pounce, though.
I mean, it is definitely not a weapon. Bleh.
It's not as
Jesus.
scary as the animal companion directly next to it there.
Yeah.
But it has some stat stick stats. It's squishy.
I mean,
It has
you've
some-
got flat damage vectors, I suppose. The
Yeah.
claws are just your strength, whatever you're doing with it,
Yeah.
but vectors. So
It's a pile of flat damage vectors. Is what I'm
the
getting at.
dice don't really matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Fine.
And you can milk it for the utility, so I think the utility's helping it out. Like otherwise, it might not make it, but pounce is pounce might actually just be that strong.
Pounce is. Pounce is.
Pounce.
All right. It's pounce.
So the giant mole, speed 20, so very slow, moves at dwarf speed. It has a burrow speed because it's a mole. If it didn't, I'd be very mad. It has 2 claw attacks. That's a D4, but they later become a D6. The burrow does advance as well to a 20-foot burrow speed. It does go from small to medium, which that's a minor detail. It gets up to like the average natural armor, so that's kind of cute. Its stats
D.
are not amazing, but it does get rend.
Okay.
I'm still giving it D.
D. Okay.
Yeah, that tremor sense is funny, but it's not fucking helping it.
I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think it could do some spring attack nonsense or help pinpoint creatures while just sitting 5 feet below the ground, where things can't
Yeah,
target it.
You're comparing it against animal companions that'll walk up to something and fucking smash it.
That's true. Yeah.
Or animal companions that you sit on and it takes you up a wall. You know,
Yeah,
it's
fair.
like its utility is like, even if you're a small creature riding it, you've got to contend with how the fuck do you breathe underground if you burrow
That is
with it?
that is a true problem that you have to deal with.
So its utility is worse than contemporary climbers or flyers as well.
I suppose, yeah. Okay, so we have the Momrath. I don't really know what a Momrath is, and I wasn't able to find a good picture of one, but I found a cute one, so I went with that.
It's a boar sloth.
Okay.
Well, it's like it's got big curving claws like a sloth. It lives in trees. It's got a prehensile tail. It's like it's a boar sloth.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, it starts small, it gets to be medium. 30-foot move speed, 10-foot climb speed. Its natural armor is what it has. The 2 claws eventually become a D4. They will inflict poison. The poison that it inflicts applies sickened. Its advancement causes it to apply for 1d6 instead of 1d3 rounds. So no stat damage. And the ability scores that you see in the box are the ability scores that you get. So no big stat injection.
Wow! Get the fucking F.
Oof. But fair.
Bin.
Yeah, you were so disappointing. I would rather buy poison than just own you to milk.
Right?
Yeah. F is eating good.
Well, we expected there to be lots of bad options.
True.
To be
Monitor
fair, some
lizard.
things got spared F just because they're memes.
That's true.
Really fucking did. Corgi down there.
Fucking shiny alpaca.
Shiny alpaca was kind of generously spared. Okay, monitor lizard. Decent speed, 30. Swim speed. Natural armor that reaches the average. A bite that starts at D6 but becomes a D8. Has grab. It's got an admittedly not great starting strength score. And decent dex, honestly, for how much you care. Con starts a little low, but it gets a +4 injection, so you wind up with 17, 15, and 17. So, average con, workable strength. It also has a poison. The poison is painfully slow on the frequency, but deals dexterity damage.
I mean, if it's once per hour, then it's probably just not worth fucking mentioning.
True, but if it's biting you, and then biting you, and then biting you, and then biting you, if it's reapplying the poison,
I
like
suppose.
you might not be caring about the fact that the poison tick might be a thing. You're just reapplying the poison over and over again. And you could
Yeah.
give it a 2d6 bite. And dex damage makes it easier for the thing to grab whatever it's biting. If it occurs. It also doesn't actually have too bad of a constitution score.
Okay, I do have to ask this though, because it says frequency 1 hour.
Yes.
Would it
You're
still tick instantly, or shouldn't it take an
All
hour for the first tick?
all injury-based poisons affect her on application immediately.
Okay,
so you're
I
not
don't know
waiting. You're
because
not actually waiting the
me
1 hour.
and me and most people I've ever played with don't use poison because they're crap.
Yeah, they're not. Poisons are pretty bad.
You
Yeah.
can you. There's two ways of making them good. Rapidly and repeatedly applying them so they stack with themselves and just keep increasing their effects, the duration, and the numerical fucking values by 2 for each application.
Yeah.
Or you have an alchemist. An alchemist can make poisons good because they can get sticky poisons and make it cost effective. The biggest problem with poisons is they're not cost effective, they're fucking expensive.
They're expensive. Their DCs tend to be very low. And the ones that are cheaper and have good DCs are mostly ingestions that you're not using in combat.
Well, the thing is, an ingested poison can be used as an injury poison. If you go look at poison descriptions and how they work, you can apply it via injury, and then it will immediately take. It's why Saison Leaf is so good.
Actually, isn't Sasan Leaf Sasan Leaf's a contact poison? That's different.
Well,
Anyways,
yeah, it's
uh,
and it's just flat damage.
yeah,
It's
it's also
brutal.
just flat
It's
damage.
very good.
So the monitor lizard, it's able to consistently apply poison. It will have a respectable DC by merit of just having the 16 Constitution, and you could scale that with a belt or whatever to make it better.
Mm.
Where do we place it? Like, it's not the best at grabbing, but it grabs and poisons.
I think this might be a B tier. Like, it's not a horse. It's not bear being worse out of contemporary bearing.
Yeah.
I think it's a B.
It functions similarly to several other creatures, but has an additional unique function that most other things don't do very well. All right, so then we have the moose. So, hey Dad, that's a Canadian. How do you feel about meese?
Fuck no. I appreciate that it gets enough constitution to get hit by a car and walk away.
That's true.
You don't. You don't walk away.
Hashtag moose things.
Yeah, it does get up
I
to an
am
18 con
I
innate.
am
So that's good.
disappointed in the strength though, because I have seen one of those things get hit by a pickup truck and it got irritated and put its horn through the fucking hood of the pickup truck
I mean, being
and then
fair,
walked
I
away.
think 18 strength is enough for that.
I'm
Keeping in
still
mind that
I
18 strength is not normally achievable by a human person in reality.
yeah, but I have to compare this to a game where having an
That's fair.
18 strength is kind of the bare essential for a martial, otherwise you get laughed out of the fucking gym.
Yeah, the other gym bros will point and laugh. That's fair. Alright,
You
so
know.
we are building up, though, to an 18 strength and an 18 constitution. Dexterity being 13 doesn't matter because it's strength based. The gore being at d8, 2 hooves, so it has 3 natural attacks. Whether that's a detriment or not, I don't know. Because it's not getting its big 1.5 strength modifier on the gore, but it might not need it because it's getting extra attacks. You could make the gore 2d6. It does have powerful charge. It's not nearly as scary a powerful charge as some of the other ones we've seen.
To be fair, I kind of feel like it should have had those hooves gotten rid of, and the gore and powerful charge should have been like a little bit bigger, because I have never seen a moose kick, but I have seen plenty of them yeet fucking things with their horn.
Yeah, that's fair. I wouldn't argue with that, but I
I
didn't
think they
design this
just saw
creature.
that it has hooves and goes like, yeah, this will rear up and kick you with its hoof.
Yeah,
No,
this
a moose will
steer.
not rear up. You ain't worth it rearing up. It's just gonna yeet you with its horn.
Okay, so where do we want to place this one? C tier, because if you're wanting a charge beast, you're going for something above it, or
I'm gonna say B tier because it is still better horse.
Yeah, as for horse purposes, it's better than a horse, but so are many things.
Yes,
that's true.
At
but
this point, a fucking bird is better than a horse.
gotta love that owl.
I
So
meant the big heron, but yeah.
Oh,
big hair and do be kind of goofy. So the ostrich, starting off at small and getting up to medium, it does become fast as fuck at 60 speed later on. It has a 1 natural attack in the form of 1 claw.
I swear to God, that crouch ability is just making me think that they'll just turn anything into a special ability.
No comment. So okay, so it does reach 17 strength. It gets 14 constitution, which is means it's kind of gonna be on the squishy side. It only has 1 claw that's a d6. I think we can safely put it
Because
in S tier because I don't think it's quite good enough with that setup to go anywhere
yeah,
else.
F for bird, F for ostrich.
I'm actually disappointed that they bothered to give it crouch, but then just if you see it within 30 feet, it just automatically see through it.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
fucking no. Panda.
The panda. All right, so now you guys get to be mad. They did at least give it powerful bite. Powerful bite at like 7th level, mind you, but that is the same rule that the T-Rex gets that doubles its strength modifier for its bite
Somehow
attack.
bites harder than hippo.
It doesn't it doesn't have a bigger dice. It does have a bigger modifier.
It's a
So.
D6.
No, but it has the special attack, and therefore
Yeah, I mean, okay. So it's getting up from 13 to 17 strength, so not terrible strength. Dexterity doesn't matter to it. Constitution goes up to an 18, which is good. It's higher than average. So it does get to be a little bit durable. It has pretty good natural armor at like +5 later on. It does have 3 attacks. They're all primary, and powerful bite does mean that strength score its modifier getting doubled on that bite attack, so it could bite hard potentially.
So does this have to be a B? Does this have to be a B tier because it's above the average regular bear that's in C?
Not necessarily. It could also be. It could also go into C tier.
I feel like it's a C tier because it's just fucking there.
Like it has stats that kind of put it in a situation of just there. The powerful bite's nice. It's better than a standard bear, arguably. Not better statted, mind you. The actual average bear, I think, has better stats. So this does have more constitution than a bear will. Like it has a good amount of constitution, so it can be durable. Which is, I don't know if that's better than the powerful bite, but it's one of the two things it has. The Pylo. Okay, so this is basically an alien porcupine.
Yes,
It's
it
a
is.
poisonous porcupine.
With 6 legs.
Yes. So it starts off small.
Wait,
And
actually, its 6 legs is actually relevant when it comes to combat maneuvers.
that's true. It's harder to trip because it has 6 legs. It's like a whole it's like what, +2 per leg, so like a whole +8 harder to trip. Not that they included that in the stat block, but they really should have.
Yeah.
Alright, so it has above average natural armor when it advances. It is not a big creature, it's a small creature, and that's probably fine. The strength, dex, and con are nothing to get excited about. They only go up to 15 and 16. It's at least kind of durable. Roll up allows it to move action, increase its natural armor by another +4. So it can be it can have a very respectable amount of natural armor and have a pretty high AC. The gore is a D6, and It doesn't get better because the thing doesn't get bigger. It does gain a tail slap, so it gets 2 attacks. It has the special rules Poison and Quill. It's another dexterity-based poison, so it's 1d2 with con scaling. But with 16 con, it actually has a reasonable chance. The poison procs on Gore and on Quills. Quills is that effect that you were talking about with the ye old bristly boy, and their quills are d6 damage, or if you have the audacity to grapple it, 2d6 damage.
Ooh.
Okay, so let's say you have one of these.
Yes.
You have deployed it in the battle.
Mm-hmm.
It rolls up. It hits some things. It tail slaps some things. It curls up into a ball. A goblin or an orc or whatever walks up and tries to hit it. Oof! Owie! Spikes! And then they all fucking ignore its ass that now it's curled up into a ball and they realize it's just a terrible idea to hit it.
I mean, you're not wrong, but it's also proccing that Quills whenever it gores something. So it's getting poison on Gore and on Quills.
Do you know what I think the only really good use for this is?
What?
Is fucking deploying it at grapple monsters or something that can swallow whole. Get it intentionally grabbed and swallowed, and that thing just starts to suffer.
Just start melting from the inside out.
This is just it's a small creature and it's got all of its power kind of into its defenses. You need to use this as bait. You need to pick this up and fastball it down something's throat.
It is a mostly defensive creature. You're not wrong. Like its strength isn't amazing, but it might actually be serviceable, if only because you're using it as a poison vector. Also, if a monk decides to have the audacity to flurry of blows at that monk is about to have a really bad day.
It's fucking true. You think a monk could have the wisdom to not do that? Is this unwise?
It's
Yeah.
like the monk walks up to it in a hallway. It's blocking the hallway with its ball form. The monk. Do I bother attacking or do I just walk away?
Does the monk give in to intrusive thoughts?
Let's be fair. A player's gonna give into intrusive thoughts. It's absolutely player bait. You know what? You got a good point. It's player bait.
Just because a player's monk has 24 wisdom, the player probably has 8.
Yeah. Okay, so where are we placing the Pylo? I think its defensive shenanigans are better than F tier for sure.
I think it's a D tier because it's so fucking narrow, if funny. But it's because it's funny. It's a D tier.
I almost feel like it could live in C tier.
I don't.
Okay.
Because it's charming and funny and niche, I don't think that really should qualify for being standard. Standard okay. Because it's not standard okay. It's funny.
Oh no, I legitimately think that it could unironically be pretty good.
You might
get
be
enough
able.
Like you get enough stats, anything's good. But we're talking about
for anything,
easy.
though.
It's very easy for it to stack up its poison on things, hypothetically, because it's doing it on score and it's doing it as a punishment if it's getting hit.
Okay, let's move it up to C tier and assume that the DM is going to enable the Goblin Rabble clusterfuck that's about to start hitting it and suffering real bad.
I mean, hey, one goblin sees one get stabbed, laughs at it, then stabs itself, and realizes that was a bad idea after stabbing. Goblins aren't very smart. That's fair.
No, okay. So if the DM enables a weird clusterfuck,
honestly, if you can force a situation where the DM has to interact with it by sitting it in a narrow hallway, or using it as a roadblock to control like where enemies can and cannot be.
there might be. Aren't there enchantment spells that make something just pull aggro?
There might be. I know there's feats for it that are like compelled duels and such.
Again, it's C tier because its stats really don't support it, but there's definitely really funny shenanigans you can do, so I suppose it gets to be in C tier for the creative use of what it provides.
It's not nearly A tier shenanigans, but
No, it's neither is it a stat stick.
that's true. Okay. It's not a good stat stick.
Let's look at
Okay.
this polar bear. Oh look, the fucking polar bear's here. Gee, those stats look very familiar.
Yeah, it's almost like we saw these before. That said, I think we could be more fair to the polar bear because it's not trying to lie to us and say that it's die or anything.
Fucking
A
true.
D6 bite.
Why is it a
Eh?
4th level advancement to medium?
I don't know.
Why is
I
it
feel like they
why is it
should
a
have based it.
juvenile?
I feel like they should have based it more off the grizzly than the actual bear, because a polar bear is
Yeah, because
bigger than a grizzly and scarier
yeah.
than a grizzly. I think this is one of those people don't realize how fucking big and terrifying this is when they statted it.
All
Okay,
right, I'm
well,
gonna have an
until they
image
give
here.
us a real polar bear, whatever the fuck this is should go in F.
Damn.
A polar bear, a full 30% bigger than a grizzly.
Yeah. So I think it deserves to go sit next to the bear because it's
I
got
agree,
essentially the same stats, and it's basically just a different flavor of bear.
and it's not lying.
It's not trying to lie. It's just small. It's the
Fucking
midget of polar
direwolves.
bears.
I chose polar bear as my animal companion. Best we can do is this plush animal that we gave some.
Here, kid,
Now,
have a plushie.
the giant porcupine.
Alright. So, it's a moderately better statted than the last porcupine, but it's not poisonous. Its quills do less damage at D4 instead of D6, but it still does 2d6 if you have the audacity to grapple the thing. The thing also has like less defenses, like it does not have the same tier of natural armor shenanigans to boost AC. It does get to the average. It it's one attack to tail slap, so it's got a tail slap at least. And because it only has one attack, it's treated as a primary natural attack. That gets a 1.5 boost just from strength.
This smells like a D.
Yeah. It's doing essentially the same thing. It's got better stats, but having better stats, no poison does make it where it can't really do the thing as nearly as well as the other thing.
I guess the
It's
only
funny.
point. I think the only reason you'd say this is if the DM said no aliens.
Yeah.
It's funny.
I mean, no
it's a
aliens is a
porcupine, but it's
reasonable.
got no point.
Shut up.
I mean,
Fucker.
okay. No aliens is probably a reasonable restriction. That said, Barbed Ram or Mindspin Ram, um, it's 40-foot speed. It gets up to medium. Gore goes from a D4 to a D6, so not very exciting. Strength starts at 10, gets to 14, so not very good there. Con gets to 13, so not very good there. Dex gets down to a 17, so eh. It does have powerful charge that we've seen a million times by now. And it has a special attack where it does a 1 bleed damage on its gore.
I don't give a shit.
F tier. Then I take it.
Yep.
Yeah. That's not even enough bleed to do anything with.
Yeah.
No, it's not even a threat to a fucking goblin because the next attack is going to kill it anyway. If that bleed was someone else tapping, it will.
So, Giant Raven. Probably F for bird before we even get to it. But,
Yeah, its stats
poorly
aren't very good
statted.
at all.
Not very fast. Scavenger means fucking nothing. Because Scavenger is a resistance bonus against diseases that are consumed.
No.
Huh.
Okay, so here's a boy that might break into somewhere bigger, the rhinoceros. You got +4 natural armor, you got +3 more natural armor, so you get up to 7. It gets up to large. The gore starts at a D8, goes up to 2d6. It has the powerful charge, which is a 2d8. It gets up to 22 strength. It has that +4 con, so it gets up to a 19 constitution, so it's actually very sturdy. It has so like, okay. You know how we were talking about Ye Ol what's it with its monstrous gore attack? That monstrous gore attack might still be better, but that thing also has very little staying power. The rhinoceros can actually take a beating while dishing a beating.
I think this is
I'm-
just another A tier. It's an
I'm
A
gonna
tier
be
tank.
honest. This has the stats that I was thinking that the fucking hippo should have had.
I agree. I actually agree. Because rhinos and I mean, they're two very similar fucking animals.
The rhino
Yes.
actually got what you might call some respect.
Now, a rhino aren't nearly as omnicidal as a hippo. What
No.
rhinos are considered clinically blind. So in the wild, rhinos are aggressive because they can't fucking see very well. Now, we've all seen the videos, right, of rhinos in zoos where they're basically just giant fucking Labradors.
Yeah.
With the zoomies and the rollover for belly rubs. Like, when they're not actually raised around threats, they are the calmest, chillest fucking things. This is a hippo that will just kill you.
I mean, haven't you seen Mudang? Mudang's vicious, trying to eat the other zookeepers that are just around.
Mudang,
Control.
Mudang being as aggressive as she is as that size and nothing actually done about it is going to mean she will kill someone when she's bigger. Mudang is going to
Probably.
be responsible for a death of her handlers in a few years.
Probably, yeah.
It's bad handling.
So, giant salamander. Dwarf speed. Swims a little bit faster. It's got a decent amount of natural armor, getting up to +5. Attack is well, D4 bite's not very impressive. It's not impressing anybody. The strength score gets up to like a stunning 15, 19 constitution, so it actually has some general thickness. It gets a cute +4 to stealth when it advances. It has tremor sense 30 while underwater. It has the amphibious trait. Like, okay, if you needed a water mount, but that also needed to be able to be on land, this might be a good option. But it's not necessarily a water mount. Or not a water mount, a water companion. So, should we treat this as a water companion for its own sanity, or should we just throw it in like F tier where it belongs because there's probably better things for its job?
It's got underwater tremor sense. We should probably make this a water mount.
Eh,
Wait, it's a medium. It's not even a large at 4th.
no.
Oh, fucking hell.
It's just a water companion.
Like, if this
That's
had
a
gotten
D.
to large, it would have been okay, but yeah.
Yeah.
Shisha.
Shisa.
It's another fucking horse.
Okay, so this might also just be another better horse though. Oh, and so there was a bit of information on the Shisa that I had missed, where it's available to Cavaliers and Rangers. You can take it instead of a horse. So
Okay.
I goofed up there a little bit. This should have been on the last video and I missed it. My bad. It's faster than a horse. It has less natural armor than a horse. I think it gets to probably about the same. It has a better bite, but weaker hooves, which is fine because hooves are secondary anyways. And the better bite becomes a D8.
Okay.
Uh,
What's this about? What's this about? Gleam of higher intelligence, and it still only has 2 int.
I didn't want to bring it up, but yeah, apparently
Is
it's smarter. Okay, so easily
is
trained
this
means that it can have 2 additional tricks. It also gives a +2 to handling it and teaching it tricks. And Desert Dweller and Desert Senses both help deal with deserty things.
something tells me that they really wanted to give it 3 intelligence, but they couldn't be like, oh no, but that makes it a magical animal, and that disqualifies it.
I don't know.
That's
Anyways,
what I think.
strength gets up to 18, like a normal horse. Dexterity gets up to 19, which is actually abnormally high. Constitution, it has less con than like your average horse. It is probably still technically horse, but better.
Still C tier though, I think.
Yeah, that's fair.
Maybe a B because of its just improvable good bite. Nah, C.
Yeah. I mean,
See, it
okay,
would have
so as a
it would have
Cavalier Ranger, it would have probably bumped up higher.
I
Yeah,
was
this is
about
fair.
to say that. If we judged it based on that, it probably would have been pretty decent, but we have to judge it because you put it on this list instead.
Well, I mean, all those got adjusted based on this list. which I think is absolutely fair. Because all those things are also available to all the druids and rangers in the world. All right, Shrike Impaler is something that okay, this one annoyed me a little bit, and you'll probably see why when we get to the Impale. So, 60-foot fly speed, a D4 bite, a baseline of 12 strength, 13 dex, 13 con. You know, bird stats that we love. Except the dex also fucking sucks. Its advancement gives it some natural armor, good for it. It's still kind of trash because its strength and con only go up to a 14 and a 15 respectively. Now, Impale. There's a little bit to unpack here. First off, it gets up to a medium for some reason. So it's a big Shrike. But, okay, so you guys know what Shrikes do, right?
Yeah, they're related to finches where they take their bug or their mouse or whatever, and they just start impaling them on stuff like barbed wire, thorns on briars. They save stuff for later by impaling them on sharp fucking things.
So you already know the gist of what Impale wants to do. So Impale
Mhm.
requires that first they have something grappled in their beak that has to be smaller than them, which is a limited list of things. They can then reposition that thing into a thing to impale them. The reposition does provoke an AOO, so it can be punished unless the thing builds into repositioning. But it also has to build into grapple because it doesn't have an innate ability to grapple because it has no grab. And as part of that reposition, it can make a melee touch attack against an AC of 15, which doesn't fucking matter because a melee touch attack, AC of 15, you could have just said make an attack roll against an AC of 15. So extra words that didn't be there. And yeah, if it's successful, the creature takes an amount of piercing damage appropriate for the object size that's being impaled against, without any like chart for scaling. So you kind of have to use your best guess.
Hey, this forces the DM to have the what's it called? Shikigami style thing open to know all the different sharpnesses and damage of all random items you might potentially impale this on.
Lamau.
They've tried to recreate and represent an actual animal, and they do it fairly well. But that still doesn't make it a good animal companion. It's an F.
And this also retroactively makes me even more pissed off at all the other things that they didn't replicate very well.
I mean, I don't even feel like they replicated this very well. The reposition combat maneuver shouldn't have provoked an AOO because, like, the sheer of what you're doing, it should not have punished you for trying to do the thing that the animal's naturally inclined to do.
Yeah,
Like,
it
to
should
be
have
fair,
improved reposition because it's just evolved to do that specifically one thing.
Yeah.
like that's
It
what I
should
was going
have.
to say. Once you have it grappled, it shouldn't be able to.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I just. It's a creature mimicking creature behavior, but that does not make it a good animal companion.
Like,
It
it.
might. So, what this is, it's fallen back into that category, right? Of a monster, a creature that's fielded against you. Like, you've got a gnome or a halfling in the party, and this fucking thing shows up, and you hear a scream at dusk because you're setting up for camp, and you're fucking halfling, and this bird is trying to impale it on a fucking broken thing, and it's kind of funny. Or if there's a flock of them, it's going after familiars, it's going after small party members, it's going after smaller animal companions if you're not level 7 or, that threshold.
Yeah.
Like, it's an encounter that is making your party go, this is fucking horrifying. Oh,
Yeah.
fuck. But it's not a companion because what it's doing is not really useful for players, it's useful against them.
I mean, the thing is that they could have even made this good. It would have been so easy to make function,
Yeah, I know.
even without giving the thing good stats. Because if a player wanted to make the impale work, they would figure out how to get the stats on the companion to make it work.
Yeah,
The player could figure that
sure.
out. But they put so many stopgaps into making it very difficult to do. And I agree, this is a lot scarier when used against the players, because
Like,
suddenly like
okay,
half the party just getting yoinked, or companions and whatever just getting yoinked and impaled is horrifying.
imagine they've been
It's
weirdly
been
mutated
hilarious.
by something going on, so they're dire. They're a
Yeah.
size category bigger. Or you're doing something really fucking stupid where you're a large creature with armor spikes, and your armor spikes qualify as something big enough to impale a small creature on, and you've got these fucking horror birds picking up goblins and impaling them on your anti-paladin spikes or evil druid spikes. It just there's weird things you could do, but the impaler itself is not set up to do them particularly well, so they're just
No.
good for harassing the party with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So then we have this thing called the skitter goat. I
Okay.
think it's a cool creature because
Oh,
of
it's
its
an ankeg
stats.
hunter.
Yeah. Starts off small, gets up to medium. It's got reasonable speed. It's not particularly fast, not particularly slow. AC is there. Gore gets up to a D6, so not very good. Stat spread isn't amazing, but it does get up to 17 strength, which is cute. Though Egg Cracker allows it to, when it makes a charge, its charge resolves against touch AC instead of AC, which is the big one. The extra bonus here is that it can ignore 1 point of object hardness, which is, I think a little relevant, but it's there.
Man, all the thing this is mostly doing is remind me that ankegs exist. Because back in the day, especially
Right?
in 3.5 and 2 second edition era, ankegs were one of the scariest things you'd find.
Fair enough.
As a standard monster that's about to fuck up your day, a couple of these, they were like, they occupied the same space as in the mind as a bullet does.
Okay.
That's my only observation. It reminded me ankegs exist.
Yeah.
Do you know what
I
an
think
ankeg is?
I have a recollection of what it is, but I could be wrong. For some reason, my
The
brain's
big
imagining.
burrowing death bugs. They're
Yeah,
bullets, but insects.
yeah, a
So
really big
there's
bug.
I think they were from. I think they've actually originated in Dark Sun.
Okay.
But essentially, you know how bullets invade farmland
Yeah.
and they eat and destroy everything.
Or usually pulp
Ankegs
mills.
are, because their burrows are introduced to till the soil and turn the soil and burrow around. It's a fucking horrible idea, but farmers still think it's a great plan. Because they inevitably hunt everything they normally hunt, escape, kill the farmers, and then spread. They're bug bullets. It's the exact same process of bullets. They end up somewhere, and they cause a havoc. And I really like ankegs.
Fair enough.
That's it.
So, yeah, okay. So how does the skitter goat match up, do you think? I think its stats are kind of meh. Its ability
I
is
think
really
it's an
cool.
F. I think it's an F tier and reminded me of an infinitely better monster.
That's fair. It's fair. I think its egg cracker is really cool because it's probably a guaranteed hit, but it's not hitting very hard with it.
It's not leveraging it. Ah.
Giant skunk. So the stinky boy. Okay, so giant skunk actually might be a little bit scarier than what you might expect being a
Okay.
skunk. It's got 3
Well,
attacks.
let's go.
It starts
Okay.
with a D6 and 2 D4s, but that goes up to a D8 and 2 D6s. So that's not terrible. It gets a +8
Okay.
to strength, so its 9 strength becomes a 17, which is respectable. Dex doesn't matter, Constitution becomes the average, so it actually can be durable. It does get the average natural armor, so it can have decent AC, and it has its spray ability, which is Musk, which is a fortitude save that it can use twice per day, or nauseate something.
Is it a cone or is it a line?
I
It's a
think it's a
ranged
touch
touch.
attack, honestly. For some
It's a
reason, they made it
spoot.
touch.
It should be a cone.
I agree.
Okay.
It's not the
I
best
think
stat
this lives
stick.
in D. Maybe I don't know. It's stats. It's a C
It's
tier. I think this is C.
like it's not the biggest stat stick, but it does have some stats, and it has something extra that it can do. So it can do
I
more than
guess.
just attack. Okay, so we have the snapping turtle. It's faster than the other turtles. It does not fly. It can swim. It has a massive base of +10 natural armor that increases by +2. It has a D6 bite that becomes a D8 that grabs. Its base strength 8 goes up to like a 16. Its base con of 9 goes to 13. So it is squishy, but it might make up for it by having just sheer AC until
It's
AC
crunchy.
stops mattering, and then like by then it will have some natural bulk just through hit dice.
So it's squishy but crunchy.
Yeah.
No, it's not squishy. It's weedy. It's not meaty. Because high health, low AC, you've got meaty. High AC, low to middling, that's crunchy. So it's crunchy.
So he's a crunchy boy with a soft center.
Yeah.
It's got a
But it's
D8
got
bite
a
with a grab.
decent. I think as a grab tank, I kind of think this might be as far as I'm seeing a B tier because it's hard to hit. It will grab something and it will hold it there.
And
I think
you
it
could-
has more obvious uses than a lot of things in C.
and you can put it in full plate.
I think you mean warp plate.
Yeah, if your DM lets you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it in the shenanigans side of it because I think it's much less. I don't think it's as good as a lot of the B tier contemporaries above it, but
I agree.
it can grab something, and that thing has no choice but to interact with it, and may be completely unable to do anything about the fact it just got grabbed, because the
That's
AC
why I
might
think
be
it's
that
B.
unsurmountable.
Yep.
Sorko. A Sorko is an alien rabbit. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Alright, so
It's an
speed of 30.
armadillo without the armor. It's just a dillo.
I don't like that. I don't like
What?
that.
Tell me I'm wrong.
It's an alien rabbit. Let's move on. Okay,
It's
so
a dillo.
3 natural attacks that start out as D4s, they become D6s. So they become kind of solid only because you have 3 of them. The strength score is not great and does not become great. The dex score is not great and does not become great. The con score becomes okay. It becomes average. It has a special attack called Dust Cloud. This is a short range AoE that it can trigger that is a fortitude save versus being staggered.
What's it scale with?
I think it's a con scaling one.
Okay.
So it actually scales with a decent stat. So it's falling under. It's firmly in the support animal companion category.
Yeah.
In
What's the
that,
AoE? What's the range?
I'm pretty sure it's a very short range AoE. Like my brain wants to say it's like a point blank AoE, so it needs to probably be touching bases.
So 5 foot.
I think so. I could be wrong because I was working on it like yesterday at like late.
Okay, so I'd say if it's a 10-foot, if it was a 10-foot burst, it might be worth doing in C because you catch a decent amount of things. If it needs to be up in something's face, it's a D.
It's not
It
completely
wants to do
defenseless, and it has a special
no,
ability.
but it's not also. It's not going to win a fight.
Probably not. Not as on merits.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's got a lickable toad.
You can lick the toad. Yes, don't lick
Lick
the
the
toad,
toad.
but you can lick the toad. So speed
It's
30,
even whiz
swim 30.
damage.
Yes, it does. So we got some like okay. Actually, it's got not bad stats. And it's weird to say it that the giant toad doesn't have bad stats because you get up to 17 strength, you get up to 15 dexterity, and you have a 16 con that it lives at. It has swallow whole. It doesn't have an innate ability to really tongue anything or bite anything, so it would have to grapple things the hard way if it wants to swallow whole, but it has that ability at 4th level. And of course, it has poison skin. And if you touch it, you expose yourself to it. And yes, it's wisdom damage.
You can lick the toad and get fucking high.
You can lick the toad and get high. It's also contact poison, so if you milk it, you can make something scary with it, probably. It's also got a respectable constitution. So scaled up could be more respectable.
I'm just picturing having a druid who's just sat there contemplating the mysteries of the universe, periodically leaning over and just licking the fucking toad.
Lol.
Okay, does that bring it up to B tier? Does that
It
put
brings
in
it
C
up to
tier?
B tier. There's a B tier because it's just it's a fucking point. It's a toad you can lick and get high, and it's just like,
Okay, so
yeah.
it's B tier because it's a utility animal. It's an emotional support toad.
Yes, it is it's the emotional support toad, but it's also great for parties.
You can also
Lol.
milk it to have a wisdom damage for your rogue.
That's the party bit. I mean, wisdom damage on a. I think that
Wisdom
this
damage
thing
poison.
might actually be quite scary with a fucking alchemist, because if you start shredding wisdom, you start really fucking with things.
True.
You also just made them susceptible to your will save thing,
True.
so yeah. I kind of like it. You need some setup, but I kind of like him.
The giant vulture.
Bird.
So, okay, yes, it is a bird, but hear me out before we F tier it. Okay, it's one of the that starts at medium and becomes large. So it's got a big bite that starts at D8 and becomes a 2D6, like the heron. It also gets a +8 injection to strength, going from 12 to 20. So it has 20 strength, 13 dexterity, 18 constitution. So it's actually durable. It's not too slow at 50 feet. It also has a blanket +4 versus like diseases, so that's kind of nice.
Hey,
It's
look,
Might
it's a
be just
bird that's stronger than a hippopotamus.
Yeah, it's a bird that's stronger than a hippopotamus.
you are never letting this go, are you, Des?
Nope.
Okay. The new metric is no longer horse; it's hippo. C for
Apparently.
hippopotamus.
So it's at least competitive with the heron.
I mean, if it's competitive with the heron, we should go in the same tier as the heron because they're kind of side grading each other now.
Okay. I mean, I'm fine
Is
with
that where we put it in C and drag Heron down? Because fuck Heron.
that. Being fair,
I
that
kind of
heron
like
is
herons.
really good.
Yeah, no,
Like
it's
it.
good.
I'm not
Okay.
mad at the heron.
So
Oh,
that
look.
one we can call good. And like, frankly speaking, I feel like the fly speed of all these could reasonably make them A tier, or at least the two good ones could go to A tier. Like these two, like the bat and the owl, they're not bad. Oh, but there is a divide between them, the heron and the vulture.
I mean, okay, but it's powered flight, so they can be knocked out of the air. Any kind of CC makes them fucking plummet. Like, it's not magical flight.
Yeah.
You've got issues with it. It's
True.
average, so you've got to
But
kind
all
of
of them can
maintain
carry
trajectories
players
and
into the
shit.
sky, which could become the player's problem too.
Yeah. That doesn't mean it
Anyway,
goes down. That means
yeah,
it will go up. That means it stays where it is.
yeah, fair. So, Whisper Vulture. This one is from the Orc book, so you'd think it'd be as good as things that are from the Orcs book, but it's a
Darn.
bird.
I wish you didn't say that, because I
It's
wanted to
but
say I don't trust the source on this bird.
unfortunately, it's bird stats with slightly higher constitution.
Source
Yeah.
It's a tough
orcs.
bird. So guess what? Get it F tier.
Yeah,
Bird tier.
F bird.
it doesn't get any bigger.
Now, a walrus. A fun thing about the walrus is that the walrus in the animal kingdom actually has the biggest baculum.
The fun thing about the walrus is it's got like 3 more strength than a fucking hippo.
Well, you see, the baculum is actually the penis bone, and Inuit tribes would use this as a club because it was pretty much as big as your arm and very durable.
I didn't expect to be learning this today.
You're
I'm gonna
welcome.
go back 5 minutes in time before we started. Okay.
Did you know humans used to have one, but we evolved it out of us?
So, walrus.
Virility is determined by
Walrus. They're kind of slow on
walrus.
land. They're kind of in a similar boat to the salamander, where they are better in water, but they can function on land. So I put them here as quote unquote land boys. And honestly, I think the walrus can hold up. It's got actually very solid natural bulk, solid AC. It's got 14 strength at base, but it goes up to 22. And like I said, 18 con. It's durable. It has a D8 gore when it hits 7th level. You know, off the back of going from a D6, as per the norm. And it has that thing that made the thylacine kind of good and interesting. where
Fatal Gore.
it threatens on a 19 to 20, so you can do improved crit shit. But unlike the thylacine, this thing, if it crits, will fucking hurt. This isn't haha funny crit things. This is, oh no, it crit things.
Yeah, okay. I think this might put it. It is a bit fat, but you can improve land speeds. There is ways to get up to a 30, so it doesn't slow you down. It's good in water. I think this might be an A tier.
I think so. Like, we put thylacine in B tier for its crit shenanigans, and this is thylacine plus because it actually hurts when it manages to crit. Like, this can hurt a lot. It's got 1 natural attack, so it's got greatsword scaling if it's greatswording with that D8 increasing to a 2d6, and yeah, it's literally its face is a keen greatsword if you get improved critical, and you can't hate that.
Sorry, I just googled what the fucking walliped is.
Oh yeah, wallopeds are fucking weird. They're like
It's an eight-legged snow walrus.
yeah. Yeah.
But looking at this, it seems to be inferior to Walrus in everything except speed.
Okay, so it's faster. It's got basically horse AC when it advances. It becomes large. It has a gore that becomes a D8, so you could 2d6 it. It has the spit ability with a con scaling DC. It's reasonably tanky. It's at like a 16 constitution. It has less strength, capping out at like 18 strength rather than 22. You know, before you start doing animal companion adjustments. It's at least fast. You can ride it. It can get you places, and it can hurt. It is arguably still a better horse.
Well, hey, B tier is open for better horse.
Walloped.
Kind of a
And
shame because it is a cool looking monstrosity.
yeah, I mean, just because it's not the best doesn't mean you can't take it. And you probably won't feel bad taking it because it'll still hurt. It'll still do its job. It will still crit and
Yeah,
trample.
yeah.
I mean, that's kind of how I see things at around like S, A, and B. B tier things you're not going to feel bad taking. C tier things you might start feeling a little bit, but you probably won't hate it. You'll probably be fine. D tier it'll start hurting. F tier you'll fucking regret it every session of the game.
Well, that's sort of it. You've got so many choices, then you have conversations about my roleplay versus roleplay, but at what point does your roleplay start to become detrimental to everything you're fucking doing and in your party? There's
B
a
tier.
level of there is a level of competence across the board that you need to be able to enact to participate. So
Yeah, sure.
yes, your flavor choices, your roleplay choices, and this all matter. But when they start becoming actively detrimental, then it's literally the same category as the chaotic evil fucking rogue who's a lone wolf and just fucks everything up. You actively choosing worse and worse and worse and worse choices is just as bad as the chaotic evil rogue fucking everything up.
I'm going to counter argument with you still have one of the strongest spell lists in the game, having 9th level spells, because this is basically the Druid video here. So, like, even if your animal companion is subpar, you can still contribute quite a bit unless you also gimp your spell list selection.
I mean, if someone is going to go out of their way to pick the worst shit ever, they're probably going to start making bad choices because, oh, this looks cool, but it's a bad choice. But this looks cool. Druids specifically can get away with it because they don't fucking need feats. They can do whatever the hell they want. Like, we've been this. Like, what feats do I need? I don't fucking need any of them. I'll shape feats, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Alright.
yeah,
We got one more boy sitting lonely down here. I have no idea how to pronounce this, but I'm going to try with Izobu. And this is another one that I goofed on because apparently this also adds itself to the Cavalier and Ranger listing, and I missed this one too. So it's essentially Yak but better. It has the attributes that Auroch had that made it A tier, i.e. it had the Stampede, it has the Trample. It's also got a D8 Gore that can be improved into a 2d6. The base 14 strength will become a 22 after the advancement. Constitution 12 plus 4 to 16. Dexterity is pretty sad, but it's fine. Decent natural armor. It's equivalent to a horse. It does have stench, which has value for roleplay purposes, and it can be a valuable ability. Coincidentally, at 7th level, also when druids get access to life bubble.
I mean, go making it sit next to a mouthy wizard or sorcerer and just have them lose the argument by throwing up.
Ah yes, nice argument. Now here, have a mouthful of vomit.
Have stinky cow.
It is stinky cow. Okay.
To put that in perspective, though, this can absolutely wreck your own party if you're not careful.
Yes, this can backfire spectacularly.
If your players are not ready for stinky cow, they can get ruined by it. It's a good thing
It's
that
got stampede and trample. They all sort of stack on top of each other.
it can do funky things. Like with the Auroch,
It can do some.
Like with the Auroch discussed earlier, you'd have to summon some Aurochs or something that have Stampede and actually enable Stampede if you want to use it. But you could Aurochs to Stampede. That's pretty much it. It's a solid A tier. It's as good as.
Wow, your net started misbehaving again, real fast. Yeah, it's an A tier.
Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad.
However, on this large list of many things, there's probably a lot more interesting things you could do. The stinky cow's appealing. Goblin, just be a goblin. Goblin mode. Not capital G.
It might be goblin mode. It's pretty fucking funny, is what it is. Like the reason to go Izobu over some of these other things is stinky cow. It's the meme, and it's a meme.
It's the meme.
It's a meme that won't hurt you unless you're not prepared to deal with stench.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you like what we do, consider leaving a like. Maybe consider subscribing. Possibly leave a comment if you have any opinions about the list. If you're really mad we put the hyena in D tier, we'll accept your rage bait.
Look, I'm sure there are some furries on Twitter that are enraged, but...
Alright, if you like the video, consider leaving a like, consider subscribing, maybe leave a comment, we'll accept your rage bait. Goodbye!
Ciao!